over the war in Iran. Europe correspondent Mimi Becker.
Buckingham Palace announced the visit on the advice of His Majesty's government, confirming the tour in late April to coincide with the 250th anniversary of American independence. President Trump posted on Truth Social saying he looks forward to spending time with the King, that it will be terrific. It is expected King Charles will address Congress, while their Majesties may also visit New York. The King will then make a solo trip to Bermuda.
A well-known Australian bird may disappear due to climate change. James Cook University researchers used climate models to track population changes of the superb fairy wren. They found subtle but accumulating effects of climate change decreased breeding success and reduced adult survival rates. JCU ecologist Martin van der Poel says the bird may be extinct in the next 40 to 50 years.
It may be that there will be populations in other areas that are in warmer areas, and that the birds living there better adapted to warmer temperatures. And maybe those populations will survive and slowly recolonize places where the populations will suffer from climate change.
And new researchers found Gen Z is embracing boomer life. 76% of respondents are embracing retro tech, including vinyl records, cassettes and analogue music players. They're also into scrapbooking, keeping receipts and programs from their favourite concerts, as well as posters and T-shirts. Now turning to FIVEAA Sport. Good morning, Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Kate. Port Adelaide has been dealt a blow with defender Asava Radaglia set for surgery on his knee. The Power also won't get Todd Marshall back for this Saturday's clash against Richmond at the MCG, while Harrison Ram is still also injured. A setback too for the Crows, with Rory Laird hurting his calf at training last night, meaning he's unlikely to play in the match against Fremantle on Friday night at home. But Jordan Dawson and Taylor Walker should return after missing last week. Well, the Socceroos have won their final game on home soil before the World Cup, beating Curaçao 5-1. Nestoroy Irankunda scoring twice off the bench. Coach Tony Popovic says it was a pleasing result.
At 1-1, I thought for the next 5 minutes we were a little bit shocked by the goal. A little bit sloppy in our build-up, lost a few balls close to our goal. And then I think the second goal was important. You know, we scored and everyone relaxed again, and then it was a good finish to the match.
Meantime, World Cup qualifiers are on right now. Italy currently 1-0 up against Bosnia and Herzegovina late in the first half. And the Adelaide 36ers season will go on the line tonight when they host the Sydney Kings in Game 4 of their best-of-5 series. The Sixers currently trailing 2-1 in that series. And that's the FIVEAA Sport.
Thank you, Rennie. Now to the FIVEAA forecast. Showers this morning, becoming sunny today, a top of 24 degrees. Mostly sunny tomorrow, also 24. 24 again on Friday and partly cloudy. 26 on Saturday and up to 29 degrees for your Easter Sunday. Right now it's 18 degrees on FIVEAA, always Adelaide.
Hi, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, the Lynn Andrews team have made it easy for landlords to manage residential and commercial property. From single homes to multiple commercial holdings, our passion for property investment means we have a great deal of knowledge. How to do it safely and properly, matching the right tenant with the right property every time. We're here to help you. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
At Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, they've been raising the bar on servicing. It starts with next day servicing, free loan car, free vacuum and wash, and you can enjoy a free breakfast or lunch thanks to Villies. Your car will be in expert hands with a state-of-the-art service centre and factory-trained technicians who know your vehicle inside and out. At Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, we look after you and your car. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
Stop buying those 2-in-1 spray-on products from the hardware shop. Real lawn enthusiasts treat their lawn with a multi-step program, not whatever's on the shelf. Lawn Hub's Amateur Pack is pro-grade lawn care in home-friendly sizes. 5 products with an easy-to-follow application calendar, specifically designed to push your lawn through autumn, survive winter, and come into spring looking amazing. Take your lawn from zero to hero with 1 pack delivered to your door. Plus, order this month and you're in the draw to win a $3,000 BP fuel voucher. Lawnhub.com.au. I grow mine with Lawn Hub.
This year, David Roche Gallery celebrates 10 years as one of Australia's most extraordinary art attractions. Home to over 3,000 works of art from the 18th and 19th centuries, including gilded furniture, porcelain, sculpture, all collected by David Roche over 60 years. Step inside his former North Adelaide residence, Fermoy House, where art and history come alive. Experience it for yourself. Book your guided tour at rochegallery.com.au.
Come and join the team on FIVEAA.
You are so full of it, Pembo.
David Penberthy and Will Gooding. It's a great show.
Live from Hindmarsh Square, it's FIVEAA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Wednesday on FIVEAA Breakfast. I'm a little concerned by that because generally in recent memory, the Honourable John Howard gets rolled out when people are in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, I know.
To sort of shore up support among the faithful.
The last time he said someone was doing a great job, they won 5 seats out of 47. I just hope Terry's not awake. He's going to go, that is a new low.
Yeah,
the show hadn't
right.
even started and they were playing a John Howard snippet.
That was just for you, Terry. Coming up on the program this morning, we're going to discuss the social media age ban. There have been a suite of compliance issues, which basically means kids are getting around it and social media companies aren't really doing much to prevent it. The e-safety commissioner has warned about this. We're going to talk about it very shortly. A really awful story coming into Easter, frankly any time of year, but coming into a holiday as well. Puddle Jumpers, the wonderful little charity, has been ransacked. People smashed into it and stole stuff for it. Steering from a charity has to be about as low as you can possibly get. The credit card surcharges are a thing of the past. Does that mean anything will actually get cheaper, or will it just be subsumed in this sticker price? We're going to talk about that with the Retail Association before 7 o'clock today. It is a big fuel watch morning because the excise kicks in today. Will petrol stations pass it on immediately, or are we going to get the, well, we bought the petrol under the old regime and the thing that always happens on the way out that doesn't happen on the way in? How did Desi Freeman survive for 7 months on the runs? Anthony Mallet, criminologist, will be on the program. Koshy's going to join us. The Treasurer of South Australia, he's got some big questions posed by the war in Iran that we're going to get into as well after 8:30. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. You know, one thing, I reckon all the petrol stations are really, really bad at never absorbing the cost of anything. Like, how often do you go to your local pub and say your favourite pasta, let's come up with a pasta, say your favourite pasta is a penne calabrese, a calabrese sauce, which is generally like tomato, broccoli, pine nuts, anchovy, maybe a bit of prosciutto in there as well. But broccoli is always a star of the penne calabrese. Imagine if the penne calabrese at your local local bistro at your local pub, you're going for a countery, could range from $18 to $30, depending on how much broccoli cost.
It's a good point.
And if the pub just will look, broccoli's out of season.
Well, nothing swings like, say, berries, blueberries. I know this from first-hand experience with a 3.5 year. But you don't see, in desserts at places. The digital signboard, frankly, has a lot to answer for. If you had digital pricing at your menu when you opened it up and it was a little box and it could be changed remotely via computer, maybe you would see it.
What about this? So I was talking to a mate of mine last night. He was filling up on Doothie Street, Unley, and he's in the queue and he's looking up at the sign and it's saying $2.49 or $59 or something like that. This might have been a week or so ago. So he's actually in the queue and there was a car in front of him and there's a car behind him, and he notices that the sign goes, it goes up 10 cents a litre while he's in the queue. And he just goes and he said to the guy, what the hell was that? And I said, we've got to change it sometime.
You just about to see it ticking over in front of you.
Well, he did see it ticking over in front of him.
This is the point to what I was making, what I was saying with the digital menu. There is no transactionary cost to the rapid adjustment of a price. To take to stretch their menu analogy further, it takes, someone needs to sit down, reprint all the menus. It needs to be someone's job to fix it up. There are like sort of impediments to being that agile with your pricing beyond what it does to your customer base who go, well, I'll just go to the other pub. They don't exist for petrol stations. They could literally do it when you're halfway through the tank. I'll tell you what's interesting. There is evidence that there are petrol stations this morning that are doing the right thing instantly. So One of them is not our reference point, the OTR at West Terrace. So I'll give you this as a good reference point for this conversation, and we'd love you to be part of this chat this morning, folks. You are our eyes and ears out on the road. $2.59.9. Okay, that is unchanged. That's sort of where it's been.
$2.59, you said.
Yeah, $2.59.9. You go to the OTR on King William Road at Unley, $2.29.9. So what's that? 2Ks, and it's a 30-cent a litre difference. You go out north to Torrens Road, $2.29.9. This is OTR. This is all the same company. If you go out to the east, in the eastern suburbs, $2.29.9 at the OTR Erindale. Just down the road this morning, in fact, on Kensington Road at Marriotteville, same company, KOA, $2.59.9. So there is a 30-cent a litre difference this morning between clearly places that have already made the change and those that haven't, and often they are right next to each other. But if you see it anywhere cheaper than $2.29.9, we'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, if you see it more expensive than $2.59.9, avoid it like the plague. There's another one here on, if you go out west, I didn't find one out west, but one's just ticked over. At Tapley's Hill Road next to the airport at West Beach, that's $2.29.9. But if you drive just up the road to Henny Beach Road at Fulham, $2.59.9.
Weird,
so for a K and a half, 2Ks driving this morning, you can save 30 cents a litre on petrol.
And they're not prohibitively long distances, are they?
No, they're right next to each other.
It's bizarre. Our good mate Rob makes this droll point. It's time to be glass half full with this fuel crisis. For instance, there's been fewer Molotov cocktail attacks on illegal tobacco sellers recently. I'm not paying that to make an improvised weapon. I didn't come down in the last shower. Bloody hell. Can't a bloke go out and ply his trade throwing a flaming cloth rag into a suburban shopping strip? Unbelievable. This country's stuffed. Hey, I tell you what, I hope they catch the bugger who's tormenting the people at Puddle Jumpers. With having had 4 children, apart from the stuff I tried to unload on Will, I gave you an unused booster seat, didn't I, Will?
You did. You certainly did.
Have you used that unused booster seat?
Yeah. Well, we transitioned beyond it, but yeah.
It was in pristine nick, wasn't it?
Perfect condition.
I forgot how many children I had. I think I went mad at baby bunting and bought one more. I thought there was a 5th, but there wasn't. So that was Rosie's win. But I could drive from my house to Puddle Jumpers in Glandore blindfolded. I've been there so many times. You know, got to the point, I just went on this mad spree where I thought, like, you could get on Facebook Marketplace. I thought, well, okay, I've got like car seats and stuff like that. So I could spend a long time cleaning them because car seats, as everyone who's had a child knows, they're a really good way to carry mushed up, half-eaten rusk and things like that around for years. Like, you can't just take a used baby seat, baby capsule to a second-hand place and say, here you go. It would be, or certainly you can't sell it because people have got, they'd throw up, frankly.
True.
So I thought I could spend hours cleaning this stuff. Then I could put it on Facebook Marketplace, and then I could be home at certain times where someone turns it and goes, hey, mate, not 120, I'll give you 80. Give you $80 for that. I was like, well, life's too bloody short, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
unless you're like totally on the bones of your bone.
Well, have a listen to what you're saying and think about this in this current context. Like, not that there's a good time to roll your local charity, but the people that would often be in a position to say, I'm just going to donate this stuff, might be struggling at the moment. Go, well, actually, an extra $50 is worth the effort all of a sudden. So at a time when they're most likely struggling to get things donated, they get robbed by some bunch of scumbags.
Well, I was going to make the point, though, that the issue with Puddle Jumpers seems to be that there's some local who doesn't like the fact that things are being dropped off there, left there, that there's a lot of traffic around there.
Oh, do you think this is not?
I reckon it's some NIMBY idiot who hates the fact that Puddle Jumpers is in what they regard as their suburb.
You're kidding me.
No. There's been issues before with Puddle Jumpers where people have been going,
Well, some retired eminent barristers decide I'm going to go and smash the windows in.
Stop being too class war about this. We have got no proof that he's a KC. We don't know what he does for a living, he or she.
No, I take your point. Well, frankly, that's even worse.
Yeah, no, it's some sort of amenity nonsense.
I mean, some down-and-out meth head's one thing, but someone who's just like, I don't like the idea of the charity causing too much traffic.
Yeah.
That is a pretty sad indictment on humanity.
Luke in Queenstown says, guys, be careful, it's April Fool's Day. What have we said that could be a prank?
I think on any given day, anything in the first 18 minutes could be foolish. So I'm not quite sure how that would be any different this morning, Luke.
Feels like that when you wake up and check the international headlines, doesn't it?
Oh, this morning's is, hey, you know that oil you guys all need? Good luck. That seems to be the official US position now.
It's great, isn't it? Like,
how good are allies?
For those of you who are still enamoured with Donald Trump, buy today's Australian and read what the staunchly right-wing Greg Sheridan has got to say about him. Have you read Greg's column today? Really, really good. It's really good.
Well, that's a consistent pattern of critique now that's coming from the hard right around the world, because it's not an ideal. I mean, Donald Trump's ideology is all over the shop. It's whatever comes out of his mouth on any given day. It's totally inconsistent. I think it is driving traditional right-wingers around the world absolutely around the twist.
Trump's chaos may leave Iran in control. The headline. The global energy crisis arising from the Iran war has barely begun. It'll get much worse before it gets any better, and it could well get catastrophically worse. An increasingly serious problem is Trump's endless self-contradictory statements, declarations, deadlines, ultimatums and alternating suggestions he's finished with it all and will leave Iran in a minute, or that he plans to bomb Iranian society into a terrible permanent humanitarian crisis and may well launch a partial ground invasion as well.
All on the table.
That's every single possible thing, isn't it? At the same time. It's a very well-written and well-thought-out piece.
20 minutes after 6. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Planning an egg hunt this Easter? With Woolies Delivery, we'll take care of the shopping so you can focus on your little bunnies. All your Easter treats and family favourites delivered same day. Order by 1 p.m. Exclusions and T's and C's apply.
Not every conversation stays with you. This one will. Join Stephen Bartlett as he asks the questions and nothing is left unsaid. Search The Diary of a CEO wherever you get your podcasts.
That's the bell. Here comes the catch of the day from SA King Prawns Edinburgh North. When Tony, Heather and their crew aren't at sea, they're selling their delicious catch in the SA King Prawn store at Edinburgh North. They're starting to haul in their new season king prawns for your Easter feast. Cooked and frozen at sea on board their trawler Maria L. New season Spencer Gulf King Prawns in store from today. 15 Hewitson Road, Edinburgh North. Buy direct from the prawn fishermen. SA King Prawns, Edinburgh North.
Your lawn is about to face its toughest months of the year. Are you prepared? Lawn Hub's Amateur Pack has everything you need to get your lawn through winter and out the other side looking lush and green. But you need to start now. Pre-emergent weed control, cold weather fertiliser, wetting agent and more. All in home-friendly sizes with a step-by-step application calendar. Plus, order this month and you're in the draw to win a $3,000 BP fuel voucher. Lawnhub.com.au. I grow mine with Lawn Hub.
You can rent a little, you can rent a lot.
Whatever you're doing, wherever you're going, you can rely on Red Spot to get you there. We're the all-Aussie, family-owned car rental company in airport terminals and cities across Australia with a new fleet and 100% local Aussie service. And right now, Red Spot is giving you spot-on savings of 15% off every vehicle at every location. Book direct and save at redspot.com.au/radio. T's and C's apply.
Red Spot.
If you can't stop using your mobile phone illegally, drink or drug driving, driving without a seatbelt, speeding or driving dangerously, South Australia Police will stop you. With more patrols, more road safety cameras and more driver testing, stop breaking the rules before we stop you. Think road safety. A message from the Government of South Australia.
FIVEAA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to FIVEAA on Facebook or YouTube.
5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
"22 minutes after 6. Well, we were lambasting what the digital petrol sign means for the rapid upward revision of petrol prices, David. I can tell you, looking at the RAA Fuel Watch app, even as we've been speaking in this first 23 minutes, thank God for digital signage, because almost the entirety of the city and inner east now and inner south, $2.29.9, including our regular reference point, the OTR in West Terrace, it's just dropped 30 cents a litre.
So it's all come down.
So all those spots.
What, are you saying everywhere?
Yep. So, for example, I'll tell you, the Western Suburbs reference point that I made between the Tapleys Hill Road OTR and the one at Henley Beach Road.
Tapleys Hill OTR, that's the one with the subway on the corner there.
Yeah, that's right. The
opposite Hungry Jack's.
8 minutes ago, there was a 30 cent a litre difference between those two. They're both now $2.29.9. So what I expect is happening is that everything will slowly migrate towards $2.29.9 this morning. So cheap petrol should be 30 cents a litre cheaper as of this morning than it was yesterday.
That's good.
Let's check in on the social media ban. This was an intriguing little tidbit that came out yesterday from the Safety Commissioner, who said there are areas of what they term compliance issues with the social media giants. 4 major failure areas. Here they are. Platforms prompting children to attempt age assurance despite having declared an age under 16. So you've already said, I'm 13. They go, well, maybe...
Give it a whirl anyway.
Yeah, have a crack. Number 2, enabling repeated attempts until a 16-plus outcome is obtained.
Is this on the face scanning stuff?
This is all their measures to make sure that no under 16s get on. So they keep giving you more chances. Well, that didn't work, but maybe you'd like to try something else. Number 3, failing to provide accessible reporting pathways. And 4, insufficient measures to prevent new under 16 accounts from being created. None of this was not anticipated. We knew there'd be issues, but are they issues that are undermining the whole endeavour? Dr. Alexia Maddox from La Trobe University joins us on 5AA Breakfast. Dr. Maddox, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Some of this would be attributable to human nature, would it not, Dr. Maddox? I mean, I ask you that question as the former owner of a fake ID in the 1980s that used to get me beer and West Coast Cooler.
This is a great way to start this conversation. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So we're looking at a situation where you've got, the intent to be able to bring in legislation that supports young people to be safe. And the key concern is for kids under 16, we'll remove them from social media because, it's toxic. And that is fair, right? But then you've got kids who want to be in that space and platforms who want to keep people in that space. So those three things don't really add up.
Well, to that end, to continue with my 1980s metaphor, and in light of the New Mexico judgment, can Meta et al. Be likened to the disreputable publican that knowingly turns a blind eye to, or even at worst encourages this kind of stuff because they've got a commercial interest in doing so?
Well, I think definitely the business model means that what they're trying to do is keep people in the space, of course. So that is fair, right? And yes, we've definitely seen some recent legal rulings that show that they've got that sort of infinite scroll issue and the sort of the stickiness of the algorithmic black hole. And we can see with this compliance report that actually they've snuck in 2 further definitions about platforms which relate to that, the concerns around addiction and, of course, the concerns around, sexual predation in these spaces. So the eSafety has done a few things with this compliance report. They've snuck in a few additional definitions about what the problem is. And I think they're getting closer to what the actual problems are. And, of course, we don't really want our young people exposed to those because they don't have the toolkit at that age to be able to deal well with them. But the mechanism that we know works, which is safety by design, is that we get these platforms to work with us to create safer spaces that are age appropriate. And unfortunately, the age ban is not going to deliver that. So the compliance point really, the report gives us a bit more information about what's happening right now. And I think that's useful. But then it sort of begs the question is this the right way to go?
Yeah, no, really, really good chat, Dr. Maddox. Alexia Maddox there from La Trobe Uni's School of Education. Thanks for joining us.
18.7 degrees outside in the city at the moment, heading for a top of 24. But if you've been outside or you've driven in your car, in much of Adelaide, the headline is that it's raining, and it has been raining throughout the morning, 1 to 6 millimetres on the forecast for today, which is the most significant rain event we're going to get over the next 7 days, albeit there's some drizzles in the back end of the forecast. Tomorrow, 24, Friday, 24, Saturday, a sunny 26, Sunday, partly cloudy and gets up to 29 before a little bit of rain and a change. Monday, shower or two, up to 5 millimetres and 27, and cooler Tuesday, 21 degrees and 2 millimetres of rain there. Tom Wren is in the 5AA Breakfast studio with us. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. This whole negotiation of gather round, it's all just posturing, isn't it? I mean, it was...
Well, it is unless we give them more money.
Yeah.
But I hope that doesn't happen.
Yes.
When we had Mally on the show yesterday. But the AFL have got to be careful they don't kill the goose that's laying the golden egg.
Totally. I mean, surely the whip hand. I'm not a great negotiator, but surely the whip hand.
It kind of feels like, that great movie Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels is a standoff where both guys neither have bullets in their gun.
Yeah.
And they sort of both don't 100% know that that's the case, and they sort of have to just walk away. That's what this feels like. The AFL can't take it anywhere else, and we can't afford to lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So surely, ultimately, however face is saved, that we get the right outcome.
Let's just sit down and sort this out. So, hopefully common sense prevails, Will, is what you're saying, and I think that should happen. So we'll keep an eye on that. 36ers tonight, we've spoken a lot about this.
I can't wait for this.
It's going to be massive. There
could be a fight on the court not involving the players, couldn't there, from what I've heard?
Now, did you see the doorstop last night?
Sure did, Andrew Bogut.
What did you think?
He's a rhymes with anchor, isn't he? He is. He just is.
Yeah. Yep. Totally.
We've got it here.
Do you think Grant Kelly's fat?
Chat.
Fat, like fat. Big, rotund.
What's that? Sorry? I can't hear you properly, sorry.
It's a bit disrespectful, don't you think, to be fat shaming a middle-aged man?
Can't hear.
So he's walking through the airport with big, giant Bose-style headphones on, acting like he can't hear.
I think the whole thing's a bit pathetic, really.
Yeah. The problem with this, the saddest part of this whole thing is that there is one of the great basketball series of all time going on at the moment, and we're talking about this. And,
he might not have been able to hear that, but he'll be able to hear the crowd tonight. They'll be pretty loud. So I can't wait. It's going to be great.
Hey, can I just say 2 words? Nestroy Irukunda.
How good. 2 goals off the bench, 5-1 against Curaçao.
I've got total World Cup fever after watching that. We look like we're in strife for 1-1. Curaçao were going all right. But
the subs helped.
It was like a new side.
So that was a friendly. The final game on home soil before the World Cup, which is great. But remember Australia having to play those really tense, matches against Uruguay, Iran, etc. to make the World Cup, Argentina. Right now, Italy, there'll be a lot of Italian listeners out there that are probably watching. They are playing against Bosnia and Herzegovina, and it's through, and win the game, you're through, lose and you're out. It's being played in Bosnia. Italy went 1-0 up after 15 minutes, but they've just had a player sent off for taking down the last man, so they are in real strife. It's just...
Italy haven't made a World Cup for a while.
They've missed the last 2 at least.
Last 2, and they're the 4-time champions. I mean, it's not a World Cup. We need Italy there. No disrespect to Bosnia, the Bosnian community, but we need Italy there.
I used to think that until Grosso did what he did.
Good on you, Reddy.
Thanks, boys.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Morning showers, then sunny today, a top of 24 degrees. With the 6:30 news, good morning, I'm Kate Collins.
Had a collision? Get in touch with Premier Panel Services and have your car returned to its former beauty.
There's been a robbery at Elizabeth Park. Police were called to a shopping centre on Yorktown Road just before midnight after reports a man had been assaulted by 2 men and a woman who stole the victim's wallet containing cash before fleeing the scene. One of the suspects was armed with a metal pole. The victim was taken to hospital for treatment of minor injuries. Police want anyone who witnessed the incident to come forward. And police need the public's help to find missing person Norn. 94-year-old Norn was last seen at Woodville West and police are concerned for her welfare. Norn is of Asian appearance, 155 centimetres tall, bald and of a medium build. Anyone who spots Norn or has information of her whereabouts is asked to contact police. A reduction in the fuel excise has come into force, wiping 26 cents a litre off petrol or diesel. Federal Politics reporter Michael Packey.
Legislation to halve the fuel excise has passed through Parliament.
The $2.5 billion measure will be in place for 3 months. It'll save motorists about $20 on a tank of petrol or diesel, but drivers are being told not to expect to see the lower prices straight away, with the saving expected to take up to a fortnight to make its way through the entire fuel network. The road user charge for truck drivers will also be paused for 3 months. Economists believe the temporary changes could still push up inflation and any saving eaten up by higher oil prices.
The US president has lashed out at the UK and other countries, telling them to get their own oil from the Strait of Hormuz. Reopening the key global shipping lane has been a major focus since the conflict began. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth backing Donald Trump's suggestion that nations need to start learning to fight for themselves.
Countries around the world who ought be prepared to step up on this critical waterway as well. It's not just the United States Navy. Last time I checked, there was supposed to be a big bad Royal Navy that could be prepared to do things like that as well.
Health experts are calling for more regulation of weight loss drugs as new data reveals more than 500,000 Australians use the treatments each month. AusActive has joined the World Obesity Foundation in warning the rapid rollout of drugs like Ozempic is at risk of becoming a quick fix policy failure. Chief Executive Ken Griffin says urgent change is needed.
Because our outdated health system isn't providing the safeguards and the wraparound support needed to keep Australians healthy. Obesity is a chronic disease. It needs complex supports if we're going to really make Australia healthier.
And the Adelaide Cabaret Festival is only 2 months away. The program is out today, with tickets also on sale. Artistic Director Ruben Kay says performers include Em Rusciano, Lime Cordial, with the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra and Casey Donovan.
It's a really rich and varied program here. It's going to be a fantastic month of June. We're all so excited about it.
The festival will run from June 4 to 21. Now turning to 5AA Sport, here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kate. The Adelaide 36ers will be looking to square up their grand final series and force a deciding Game 5 against the Sydney Kings. Game 4 will be played at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre tonight. Well, Michael Voss is being urged to consider a return to the coach's box. The Carlton coach is trying to turn around the club's second half fade-outs. Former Essendon coach James Hird telling Nine's Footy Classified tactically it would make sense.
It's a lot easier as a senior coach to see it. You are the guy in control. You are the one answerable to the game plan. And if you see it move, you've got to be able to move with it or change things.
The Socceroos have recorded a 5-1 win against Curaçao in their final match on home soil before the World Cup. Former Adelaide United frontman Nestore Irankunda scored twice after coming from the bench. Meantime, it's all on the line for Italy and Bosnia and Herzegovina as they meet in their qualifying clash to make it through to the World Cup. The Azzurri scoring first in the 15th minute.
Oh, that's a poor kick out and they're in trouble here. It's Moiscan! Brilliant finish! How well did he take that?
Yeah, it was a gorgeous goal. That audio thanks to Stan Sport. The Italians are still 1-0 up, but they've lost defender Alessandro Bastoni after he was sent off for taking down the last man. There's just over half an hour to play. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thank you, Rennie. Now to the 5AA forecast. Showers this morning, becoming sunny today, a top of 24. Mostly sunny tomorrow, also 24. 24 again on Friday and partly cloudy. Up to 26 on Saturday and 29 degrees on Easter Sunday. Right now it's 18 degrees on 5AA, always Adelaide.
Breathtaking Easter gifts, melt-in-your-mouth chocolates and lip-smacking nuts. Happy Easter, folks. I'm Brett Charlesworth, and there are 3 mind-blowing reasons to visit Charlesworth Nuts to help make your family's Easter extra special. Here's another reason. At Charlesworth, you choose how much you spend. 50 grams, $2.50, a kilo, or any amount in between. It's your choice, and it's the Charlesworth Nuts difference. You're always welcome in our 11 family-owned stores or shop online. Why Charlesworth? Because fresh nuts taste better.
Now's the time to try Arbor Vitae. Get 30% off online for 1 week only. Arbor Vitae sales are rare, so don't miss out. Head to arborvitae.com.au or call 1300 879 863.
If fresh fish and seafood is a feature of your Easter feasts, make sure you check out the Fish Factory. The Fish Factory process their fish direct from the fishing boats. You can't get fresher fish unless you eat it on the boat. There's SA West Coast oysters and king prawns, freshly whole or filleted fish and SA crayfish. Get it live or freshly cooked. Find it all at the Fish Factory, open all Easter week, including Good Friday. Only closed Sunday and Monday.
Comparing Lawn Hub's Lawn Care Essentials Pack to the stuff you buy at your local hardware store is like comparing barista-made coffee to instant coffee. One is superior. With Lawn Hub's Lawn Care Essentials Pack, you'll get 5 pro-grade lawn treatments, the same sort used on stunning golf greens. And with an easy-to-understand application calendar, Lawn Hub will help you transform your lawn from zero to hero in 4 easy steps. No guesswork, just results. Order direct online from lawnhub.com.au. I grow mine with Lawn Hub.
Whatever your morning looks like, own it with Up and Go Liquid Breakfast. Braving the bus or carving a wave, battling rush hour or feeling the rush of your favourite trail. Fueled with the protein, fibre and vitamins you need to get up and go.
Imagine waking up to a to-do list that includes ACE.
Don't you dare. Fancy a dance?
Downsize and upgrade your lifestyle at a Living Choice retirement resort and swap chores for choices. Gotcha. A choice of locations to live, passions to pursue, and ways to feel young again. For a limited time, enjoy a $10,000 lifestyle package. Conditions apply.
To happy days.
Visit livingchoice.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
21 minutes to 7. Lots of terrific texts coming through. Our eyes and ears are watching the servos this morning. We got one here from Adam in Windvale. It says, Will and Dave, my local OTR Surrey Downs has passed on the fuel excise cut overnight. $3.24 yesterday for diesel, $2.98 this morning. $2.59 for unleaded yesterday, $2.29 this morning. Good on you, Adam. Thank you. We'll keep an eye on everyone this morning. And the big change is that the vast majority so far look like they're passing on the cut, which means I think there's a general rule this morning, $2.29.9 is what petrol should be. That's the new price.
Diesel's come down too in a lot of places. Luke from Good Quality Meat said he's driving into work to make his superb charcuterie, and he said there are 2 on the runs in Blackwood that have diesel for $2.98 a litre now. So hopefully that is going to be a trend with diesel.
So if there's any oddities out there, folks, do let us know. 0480081395. A few people have been texting about the social media age ban as well. Kylie says, I can confidently say my 14-year-old and all of his friends have the exact same access to social media, noting they were legally allowed to have it previously and then it was taken away. I'm not concerned that face recognition will verify an age of 16 plus. And Paul Pennington says, gents, my 13-year-old son was booted off Insta and got back on the next day with a different name and a different date of birth. His friends have all done the same. The changes are a farce and the government should probably focus on the real issues affecting society, not this rubbish that was always going to fail. Thank you for that, Paul.
Bit of personal responsibility and parental involvement being advocated by Paul there. Well, we were talking before the 6:30 news about what a great, great charity Puddle Jumpers is. I've given half the shed to them in the form of baby seats and cots and prams and all that stuff that you think back to how much time you spent putting prams together when you had kids and think there's an hour you've got back in your day. Melanie Tate is the founder and CEO of Puddle Jumpers. It's a great charity, as I said. But they've had a bit of a recurring issue and we want to try to get to the bottom of it. Melanie, good morning and thank you. So
good morning.
The Puddle Jumpers that had the window smashed, we're talking about the Glandor one?
No, this is not at Glandor. This is at our Port Road at Hindmarsh shop.
Oh, so it's the Port Road one. Okay. So what do you think was the motivation behind it?
Look, I don't know because it's actually really bizarre. I don't know. It was a bizarre kind of behaviour, the oddity of things that were taken and an odd sort of process. So we really don't know. It's a little bit weird.
So did you lose many things of value, or was it a bit of a mishmash of items?
It is definitely a bit of a mishmash of items. So things like tools and vacuum cleaners and like a desk fan. The staff were putting together a bit of a list of things that they could see. But they said, items of value or some of the things that they would have seen as quite valuable have been untouched. Whereas things like the practical shop vacuum cleaner taken.
Wow.
Very odd.
Wow, so things you actually use yourselves, not things that would be on sale or rather being given away to young couples looking for cheap baby stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So probably things that were just more of an absolute huge annoyance, things that they would use themselves, absolutely.
I must admit, I had the wrong end of the stick because I thought it was your Glandor business.
Oh, sorry.
And because there were some issues there in the past, weren't there, with some cranky locals?
There have been issues there in the past, and thankfully, touch wood, that they have not been occurring in the last sort of 12 months or so.
Oh, that's good. Good news.
Is the damage, Melanie, so great that it's going to prevent you guys normal operation?
No, it should be okay. The biggest problem has been that blasted window because it's an older style shop and because it's an extra large piece of glass. That's been a bit of a problem because it's an expensive and hard to replace part of the shop.
How just generally, other than all this, how's Puddle Jumpers going at the moment, Melanie? Have you noticed an increase in demand with the cost of living at the moment?
Yeah, so it's actually quite an interesting space because there's an increase in demand for our services, and that's called for help from everywhere, from hospitals and schools and families themselves, everybody that's doing it really tough. But also we've had a decrease in volunteers because of obviously they can't afford the petrol and things like that to get to work, or they're having to work more to substitute the costs that they're having. But interestingly, we said yesterday when we were at the shop, there's actually been a decrease in donations across the organisation as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no,
makes sense.
It does make sense. Well, look, good to chat to you, Melanie. And to anyone who's got some baby gear in the shed, or maybe they've never cleaned out the kids' nursery and they've got a cupboard full of clothes, go and donate it to Puddle Jumpers. It's a great organisation. Thanks for coming on.
All right, let's talk about the weather because there's a bit of rain around the place this morning. Chris Kent at the Weather Bureau joins us. Morning to you, Chris.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Yeah, we're well. Do you think we're going to get up to that sort of maximum amount of rain of 6 millimetres today?
Probably not. We get close maybe in a few places. We've had 2.2 millimetres at Noarlunga so far this morning, and probably some heavier sort of rain falling across southern Fleurieu at the moment. So the likes of the Parrawa may be picking up closer to that 10. But a few little light showers around should be clearing up over the next hour or two, I think. Should see a bit of sun coming out during the afternoon once that's all cleared. So, looking at a maximum of 24 degrees in the city today, 23 at Glenelg, 24 at Elizabeth, 23 at Noarlunga, and Mount Barker looking at 24 degrees. So reasonably, pleasant day still. Not getting a lot of cool, dry air moving through behind once this rain clears. Over the weekend, looking reasonably clear as well. Maybe a slight shower on Monday for the end of the long weekend. Otherwise, looking like it's going to be pretty nice weekend across Adelaide.
Good stuff, Chris. Thanks for that. Chris Kent from the Weather Bureau.
All right, let's head to SAPOL. Senior Constable Matt Brown on the line. Matt, there's been a robbery at Elizabeth Park overnight.
That's right, Will. About 11:40pm last night, police were called to a shopping centre on Yorktown Road after reports that a man had been assaulted by two men and a woman who stole the victim's wallet containing cash. The trio then left the scene on foot in a southerly direction, and one of the suspects was armed with a metal pole. The victim was taken to hospital for treatment of minor injuries. Anyone who may have witnessed the incident or saw suspicious activity around the Elizabeth Park area last night is asked to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Now, Matt, what's happened with this crash at Cumberland Park? Because it was initially described as a hit-run, but then the motorist who hit, a 13-year-old, then thought better of it and went back to the scene and then cooperated with police. Is that right?
That's right, David. About 7:30pm last night, police and emergency services were called to the intersection of Kiama Avenue and Winston Avenue following reports that a Toyota sedan had collided with a pedestrian. Now, a 13-year-old boy was assessed by paramedics at the scene before being taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. It will be alleged that the driver of the sedan left the scene following the crash, however returned and spoke with police about 8:10pm. The circumstances surrounding the crash and the actions of the driver are being investigated by officers from the road policing section. So anyone who may have witnessed the crash and hasn't yet spoken to police, or anyone who might have captured it on dashcam footage or CCTV, is asked to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000. So investigations are still ongoing in relation to that Cumberland Park crash.
And just finally, Matt, there's been a suspicious house fire at Goolwa.
Yes, a couple of hours ago, about 3:30am today, police and fire crews were called to Lewis Street after reports of a house fire. Fortunately, the occupants weren't home at the time and there were no reports of any injuries, but firefighters worked quickly to extinguish the blaze, and crime scene investigators will be in attendance today to determine the cause of the fire. So we're asking anyone who might have witnessed suspicious activity in Lewis Street, Goolwa South, to contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Good stuff, Matt. Thanks for that. Have a good weekend. We'll probably chat tomorrow, actually. It's not Thursday, it's Wednesday. So we'll save the Easter-related...
We'll be at the Central Market tomorrow, so it sort of feels like an early start to the weekend.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, good way to bring in the...
I love doing all the market shows, but I really love the Easter one.
Yeah, it feels well. It's one among their most busy, isn't it? It's about as busy as it gets, the market the day before Good Friday. So it's going to be a massive day. Looking forward to being down there. Let's check traffic.
Flowing through Eastwood, a crash along Greenhill Road near Fullerton Road to watch out for. In Athelston, a burst water main at Gorge Road near Main Ridge Track. Speeds are at 40 in both directions, and the same too in Torrensville along South Road near West Edmonton Road. Another burst water main as well. Stop breaking the road rules or South Australia Police will stop you with more patrols and more driver testing. Think road safety. A message from the Government of South Australia. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hi, I'm Nick Chigwin from Physio Extra. We have 7 clinics across Adelaide and Victor Harbour. We've been advertising with 5AA for probably 6 or 7 years now, and certainly wouldn't have been involved for that long if I didn't feel that we were getting good results from it, and a great way to build our brand and get our Physio Extra name out around the listeners of Adelaide.
To get your message out there and grow your business, visit 5AA.com.au and hit the Advertise With Us link for more information.
Now's the perfect time to try Arbor Vitae, because for 1 week only, get up to 30% off online. Already stocked up on Arbor Vitae? Get in early for presents for the family or for yourself. Arbor Vitae sales are rare, so don't miss out. Head to arborvitae.com.au. That's arborvitae.com.au for 30% off. Or call 1300 879 863.
Stop buying those 2-in-1 spray-on products from the hardware shop. Real lawn enthusiasts treat their lawn with a multi-step program, not whatever's on the shelf. Lawn Hub's Amateur Pack is pro-grade lawn care in home-friendly sizes. 5 products with an easy-to-follow application calendar, specifically designed to push your lawn through autumn, survive winter, and come into spring looking amazing. Take your lawn from zero to hero with 1 pack delivered to your door. Plus, order this month and you're in the draw to win a $3,000 BP fuel voucher. Lawnhub.com.au. I grow mine with Lawn Hub.
5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Nine to 7. Now, this is an interesting story that came out yesterday, and it's a big one in the context of an ongoing cost of living conversation we're having at the moment. We're on permanent round-the-clock fuel watch this morning with the excise coming off today. The good thing is it looks like it is significantly cheaper, 30 cents a litre cheaper than if you'd filled up unleaded-wise yesterday. But the RBA have axed the credit card surcharge. The federal government saying it would save the taxpayers of Australia over $1 billion a year. So from October 1, that 1.4, 1.8, 2% surcharge when you tap your phone or use a Visa or MasterCard or whatever it might well be, will no longer be something that is able to be charged. Now, critics have said, well, doesn't that just mean it will now be contained in the sticker price of the goods you're buying as opposed to something that's been independently declared? The RBA say, well, it shouldn't, because they're offsetting the cost of those transactions with another measure as well that will save $910 million for retailers who say, well, hang on, this could leave us out of pocket. Let's get the sense of Chris Rodwell, the CEO of the Australian Retail Council. Chris, good morning to you.
Morning. Good to be with you.
So, Chris, will people save as a result of this?
I think households might, but it's absolutely up for debate whether that actually happens. I know you mentioned the RBA said the lower interchange fees will flow through to savings. The truth is that we don't really have clarity of whether or not that will happen, and that was something that we asked through this process, this consultation process, to show how this might occur in reality. The concern has to be that it'll be worn by smaller retailers, this removal of the surcharge. I mean, all they're doing in passing on that cost is they're recovering the cost it is for them, and so it doesn't have our support. And unfortunately, that will be borne by smaller retailers. A lot of the larger retailers already absorb these costs. So small retailers have been doing it particularly tough. There's a cost of living crisis. There's also a cost of doing business crisis. And if you look at what's happened yesterday, you've got a decision on junior pay rates, which means they'll be paying more. You've got this decision, and Roy Morgan released some stuff on consumer confidence. That's now in the late 50s. That's the worst number on record in 50 years. So if you're a small retailer, unfortunately waking up today, and with everything else that's happening with the Middle East crisis, it's not a great day.
Those junior pay rates, that decision, Chris, I thought having a part-time job as a kid was meant to be character building. Like, some of those numbers being bandied about now are extraordinary.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a rite of passage in Australia. 1 in 8 Australians get their first job in retail. There's about 500,000 young people under the age of 24 who work in retail, and often they come without the experience, and they require training, they require supervision. So there's no doubt that's going to add significant costs to retail businesses. Again, small and mid-sized operators that are really facing into difficult times are going to be concerned by this decision. So the one good thing is that they protected those existing junior rates for 16 and 17-year-olds. But, yeah, it's just another cost on retailers.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Rodwell, the CEO of the Australian Retail Council.
Doesn't that just mean no one will hire a kid?
Well, yeah, that's totally.
Like, why would you?
Like if you're 16 years old, I'm not talking. We're not advocating a return to the salt mines here.
No,
or, Dickensian chimney sweepers. But if you're 15 or 16 and you've got absolutely no skills and nothing on your CV, that should attract a certain lower price point in a salary sense, should it not? I mean, when I was working at Esso on Morfett Road as a year 10, I rocked up not knowing anything about wheel alignment or how to change tyres or anything. They had to teach me all of that on the job. Got quite good at hammering those little lead things in. Found it quite satisfying.
Yeah. Could have been a career path.
I stank a Solvol the whole time.
Let's talk about this RBA merchant fee. Oliver Brown is the co-founder of the Big Easy Group. The Big Easy Group, I tell you what, talk about some of the best brands in South Australia. Anchovy Bandit, Bottega Bandito. Have you had one of their sandwiches? My goodness. La Louisiane.
La Louisiane. Killer steaks there.
Bandit Pizza and Wine. Oliver Brown joins us now. Oliver, you're sceptical that this removal of this fee is going to do anyone any benefit.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I'm very sceptical. I don't see if in hospitality everyone kind of talks about this 10% profit number, and that, if the good operators are passing on the surcharge and it's 1.5% to 2%, that's 15 to 20% of their profit at the end of the year. So there's no way they can't build that into the cost of their product. So all it's going to do is just put prices up, and currently it's because if you pay with card over pay with cash, there's an additional cost to the venue to process that card fee. So all that was being done is that card fee or that cost of processing that transaction was being passed on. So then when you paid cash, you obviously didn't have to pay that fee. So what's going to happen now is all the prices will go up to include it. If you're paying cash, you're going to be paying for everyone's FPOS surcharges as well.
The RBA, Oliver, is saying that those merchant transaction fees are going to come down as well as a component of this. But it sounds like you don't think that that's going to be enough to cover the costs of no longer passing it on.
Well, a lot of the small retailers are in contracts with the merchant providers anyway. So you might be in the middle of a 2-year contract where you're being charged 1.3%. So I don't know how it's going to impact those contracts, but I doubt those companies are going to turn around and reduce your rates if you're locked into them. It's good that they're reducing the fees on the other side, and I think they could have made it more fair. I think they could have done a lot to make it more fair as far as how banks actually charge it over, because I can tell you that your big retailers are not paying the same 1.5% to 2% surcharge that they're charging your local cafe. So it's not a fair playing ground as it stands, but this isn't going to solve it.
You notice it more at small places. Like you notice it when, like, I reckon the last time I went to Wollonga Market on a Saturday morning, you buy like a loaf of bread, and then you say, oh, hang on, we've been charging an extra 17 cents. Because it's the little tap and go type places that go, well, we can't suck this up. Yep. So, yeah, no, you make many good points, Oliver, and you run many excellent food venues. You come on here to talk about policy, mate. You get a free plug for your businesses as well.
Yeah, beautiful. How good that? No, I appreciate it.
Good on you, mate. Oliver Brown, the co-founder of the Big Easy Group.
An unintended consequence of this, in the event that those merchant transaction fees don't come down commensurate to the existing surcharge, will be something that will really irritate people who pay with cash. Because if you have to assume the cost now, just in the, say, the cost of a schnitzel, well, people who pay cash will be bearing that cost as well. You're not going to adjust if you can't have a declared merchant fee, it will be spread out among everyone who pays for things. So whether you use card or not, you're going to be paying for the service.
On the junior pay rates question, Emma in Fairview Park says, my 17-year-old's only getting one shift now as he's been told that it's too expensive. Lisa, on the other hand, says we're all a pack of flint-hearted sods. 18 to 20-year-olds are not kids, she says. That's fair enough. Conversely, Ben, and this is where I was coming from with my SO tales, Ben, your first job's supposed to be a tough job, low paying with a terrible boss. It's character building and it motivates you to do better and follow your goals.
Well, I think back to my early days of working in hospitality, and there were seniors and juniors in roles, and there were always lots of juniors because they were cheap. Now, if you're doing the business model now, you might say, well, if they're all the same, well, there's just far fewer jobs for juniors because we're not going to get them in doing entry-level stuff, cleaning plates, doing that. If you're going to pay them an adult wage, we might as well, whether we could have had 6 of them and giving 6 young kids an experience in the industry, we'll just hire 2 adults that are now just the same as everyone else. So, I mean, well-intentioned as it might well be, I can't see how it doesn't reduce opportunity for young people.
Yeah. And it's a different argument from adult workers where, you're not talking about people with mortgages, you're not talking about people with kids. They are still teenagers. Like, they're I mean, we call them kids for a reason. So, anyway, it's one of those prohibitive things, I reckon, that is an unexamined cost factor for businesses in this country.
We're going to be talking about petrol next. It's been a big discussion in the first hour. It is coming down. What does that tell us about the long-term trends and so forth? Will we run out? We're going to get into all that next.
FIVEAA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to FIVEAA on Facebook or YouTube.
Connected to our community for 50 years. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Morning showers clearing to a sunny day. We're heading for a top of 24 degrees. With the 7 o'clock news, good morning. I'm Kate Collins.
Need a crash repairer you can trust? Premier Panel Services delivers expert care to you and your vehicle.
A factory fire at Edinburgh kept the Metro Fire Service busy last night. They were called to Essington Drive just after 9 p.m, finding an industrial rolling machine used for steel beams and sheets alight. Nicole Vale from the MFS says fortunately crews were able to contain the blaze quickly.
Firefighters wearing breathing apparatus used high-pressure hose lines and contained the fire in 10 minutes, preventing it from spreading beyond the machine. Quick work by firefighters successfully protected the structure from becoming engulfed in flames, potentially saving millions of dollars in property and equipment. Unfortunately, the machine involved is believed to be a complete loss.
A Nagulwa house has been destroyed by fire overnight. The blaze broke out at 3:30 this morning. Casey Miller from the CFS says the blaze had spread through the house when crews arrived.
Thankfully, occupants had been able to self-evacuate and crews prevented the fire from spreading to neighbouring properties and a nearby shed. Due to the significant damage to the house, it is a complete loss with damages estimated around $600,000.
And police are investigating after a child was struck by a car at Cumberland Park last night. Emergency services were called to the corner of Kiema and Winston Avenues at 7:30 after a Toyota sedan collided with a 13-year-old boy. He was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police allege the driver left following the crash but returned and spoke with police about 8:10. The circumstances surrounding the incident and the actions of the driver are being investigated by police. US President Donald Trump is again lashing his allies, saying those struggling with fuel supply need to build up courage and fight for themselves. The ongoing conflict with Iran and its closure of the Strait of Hormuz continue to send up petrol prices around the world. CNN Chief International Correspondent Clarissa Ward says as far as most leaders are concerned, this is a war of choice.
Not of their choice. They weren't consulted. They weren't part of the planning. And now they're being asked to effectively deal with reopening the Strait of Hormuz if they want to get this fuel crisis under control.
A $2.5 billion reduction in the fuel excise is now in force for the next 3 months. Drivers will save around 26 cents a litre on petrol and diesel, but it could take up to a fortnight to flow through to all service stations. The road user charge for truck drivers will also be scrapped for the same period. Unleaded is still sitting around $2.59 a litre around Adelaide this morning. Electric vehicle rentals are booming as drivers try to avoid those high petrol prices. One site is reporting bookings for EVs and hybrids increased by 388% on one day this month. And we're counting down to another major event. The program for the Adelaide Cabaret Festival in June is out today. Artistic Director Ruben Kay says it's not all ticketed events. Festival theatre itself will become an attraction.
The whole foyer is an exhibition of costumes and props from cabaret performers around the world and from Australia. You'll see a couple of mine in there. You'll see some Rhonda Birchmore. You'll see some real classic pieces you wouldn't get a chance to see anywhere else.
New research has found Gen Z is embracing boomer life. 76% of respondents are embracing retro tech, including vinyl records, cassettes, scrapbooking and live concerts. Gen Z and millennials coach Madeline Miller says it's an antidote to the online world.
They're recognising some of these negative impacts that social media is having on them mentally, and they're feeling like that connection actually brings them joy, and so they're actively seeking it.
Now turning to 5AA Sport. Good morning, Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Kate. We're going to start with a little bit of football first, and there's injury concerns for the Crows ahead of Friday night's clash against Fremantle at home. Rory Laird aggravating his calf at training last night. Now, Adelaide should, though, be boosted by the return of Captain Jordan Dawson and former skipper Taylor Walker for the match against the Dockers. Meantime, Port Adelaide defender Asava Radaglia will spend an extended period on the sidelines after it was confirmed he needs knee surgery to repair his knee. And Patrick Dangerfield has been ruled out of Geelong's Easter Monday clash against Hawthorn. The veterans captain is still overcoming a calf injury of his own. Well, another sellout crowd tonight for the Adelaide 36ers as they prepare to face the Sydney Kings in Game 4 of their grand final series. The Kings can wrap up the title with a win, while the Sixers must win to force a deciding Game 5. The Socceroos have recorded an impressive 5-1 win against Curaçao. That's in their final friendly on home soil before they head to the World Cup. Former Adelaide United frontman Nestor Irankunda scored twice and says he was pleased with his performance.
I'm happy with the performance, just doing what the boss wants me to do. You know, we've had conversations in the last few months and he's just trying to help me become a better player. And as you can see tonight as well, he's helped me during the week to get in positions like that to score more goals, and that's what he wants from me, to score more goals.
Audio there thanks to Paramount. Meantime, Bosnia and Herzegovina has levelled up its World Cup qualifier against a 10-man Italy with a goal in the 79th minute.
Dedic with the cross! Oh, and it's been squeezed in! Tabakovic
was on the line.
Audio there thanks to Stan Sport. There's now only a few minutes left in that contest. And Tottenham has appointed Roberto De Zerbi as its new manager, with the club sitting just 1 point above the relegation zone. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thank you, Tommy. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Slowing through Eastwood around an earlier collision on Greenhill Road near Fullerton Road to Athelston. A burst water main slowing things down on Gorge Road near Main Ridge Track. It's down to 40. And in Torrensville, another burst water main on South Road near West Theberton Road. And ongoing works through Mitchell Park causing delays at Sturt Road near Bradley Grove. Australian Super, nearly $4 trillion. Bring it home. Turbocharge our economy. Jobs growth, jobs growth. Newdeal.au. Authorised by Clive Palmer for the United Australian Party Gold Coast. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now to the 5AA forecast. Showers this morning, becoming sunny, a top of 24. Mostly sunny tomorrow, also 24. 24 again on Friday, partly cloudy. 26 on Saturday and up to 29 on Easter Sunday. Right now it's 18 degrees on 5AA, always Adelaide.
The news and issues that matter to South Australia. Always Adelaide. This is 5AA. 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 after 7, good morning to you. Welcome to Wednesday, the 1st of April. It feels like, well, at least looks like the first day of winter. It's still fairly warm out there, but it's dark and it's wet. A bit of rain about the place as well. Not expected to continue throughout the day, but it's going to be a coolish start to the Easter long weekend. It'll warm up on the back half of it. But nice to get a little bit of rain in the garden this morning. What is even nicer is to see a sea of green on the RAA Fuel Watch app as we wake up this morning. The fuel excise halving is officially in effect, and there was the only outstanding question was how quickly would it be passed on? Well, it looks like it's been passed on instantly, certainly in metropolitan Adelaide, where the vast majority of servos this morning are selling unleaded for $2.29.9. Yesterday, at the close of business, it was $2.59.9. Diesel too has come down, but overall, it looks like it's been passed on. We're going to talk petrol in more depth in just a moment. Also, Desi Freeman, how did he survive for 7 months in the middle of nowhere? What kind of assistance would he required? What went into that? Xanthi Mallet, a criminologist, is going to join us after 7:30 today. David Koch is going to be on the program before 8 o'clock. And after 8:30, the Treasurer of South Australia. He's suddenly got a few headaches, Tom Kurtzen told us, in this environment. Totally. We'll discuss that with him as well. But it's more your budget that we are concerned with at the moment and how it's being impacted by petrol prices. Rowan Lee is the CEO of the Australasian Convenience and Petroleum Markets Association. Rowan, good morning to you.
Good morning, fellas.
Thanks for coming on, Rowan, for April Fuels Day, as we've dubbed it. What Will was just saying about the trend around town, looks like prices are starting to come down. Does that surprise you? Because Jim Chalmers yesterday, off the back of the announcement, seemed to be saying, look, it could take 3-4 days to roll through, given that all of the petrol that's in tanks now was bought, with the war well and truly underway.
Well, that's what we anticipated also. We anticipate because the fuel that's under the ground in servo today, this morning, was bought with a full excise on it. So the anticipation was that as that got sold through and left the servo and those tanks underground got replenished, they would have a lower excise on them. I think what's happened is that the corporates have essentially dropped their prices straight away. And then the independents are having the maximum price. Now, what that means is they're going to take a huge financial hit. Now, people may say, well, about time they copped it, but the point of it is that there's a massive financial impact on independents who are having to match the large corporates who have obviously got their prices so low. So, if you bought $1 million worth of petrol and then you've got the excise coming in lower, and you're having to match that lower price, you could be losing $260,000 on $1 million worth of fuel. So this is going to have a massive impact on independents potentially. But it's not just the corporates, we're not just blaming them. It's just having some clarity around pricing and some, and just some clear information about what is happening. But certainly this has created a bit of a market distortion to the benefit of consumers, and that's fine. But it's going to have an impact on a lot of retailers.
Well, if they've gone early on this and they're now reducing the price of petrol despite the fact that it was bought at a higher price and with full whack excise on it, could they sort of be funding that in part by the fact that earlier on during the war they started jacking up the price of petrol that was actually cheaper anyway?
Oh, look, I couldn't read too much into that, and very hard to comment. There's very little visibility and transparency into that, how that works. Certainly, at the start of the conflict, international prices basically skyrocketed overnight. So what was happening was that wholesalers and retailers here were having to anticipate for what it would cost them to replace the fuel they had underground at that time. So if they saw it, rising 30%, they'll be a bit like, well, gee, I need some cash, so I can afford to buy that fuel to replace the stuff I've got now. So that was what was happening at the start. But certainly, having some clarity and visibility around how this pricing is happening would be welcome.
Rowan, do you have any concerns that a temporary and artificial reduction in the petrol price will simply inflame abnormal customer behaviours and buying habits?
Oh, look, we've had very, very big changes in buying habits. We've had panic buying initially, and then we had sort of stockpiling, not just residentially, but in commercial sectors, and also forward buying in some of the freight, commercial and agricultural sectors where people would normally buy fuel in, say, late April or May. They're suddenly buying, 20, 50 or 100,000 litres of fuel in March. So that's distorted the market as well.
Yeah, well, certainly jumping around a lot. Rowan Lee, the CEO of the Australasian Convenience and Petroleum Marketers Association. Thanks for that.
Let's go to Port Noarlunga. Mike's on the line. Morning, Mike.
Morning, boys. How are we?
Good, mate.
Thank you.
I'm really excited this morning. I'm going into work early because as of day one of all this petrol crisis, I got massive emails across my desk with all these rises in levies and prices. I'm keen to fire up a computer this morning and see the massive drops. But one thing that does concern me, I did a bit of a look this morning, and I don't know whether I've got my facts wrong, but I thought the fuel excise was charged at the pump per litre sold. If that's the case, why is it going to take up to 2 weeks for it to come down if it's what's sold at the pump on the day?
Well, Rowan seemed to indicate with his first answer to us, Mike, I don't know if you heard it, that it's paid, the excise is paid by the company when filling up the tank. That was the phrasing he used a moment ago.
Okay, well, then that as you said, the same argument that you just said, if it went up immediately, the tanks were already full.
Well, that is exactly right. And look, Rowan's answer was, well, there are vagaries around these sorts of things.
Yeah.
They had to build up a cash buffer knowing that more expensive petrol was coming, which, okay. All right.
Is that why you were smirking when
that's
I
why
asked the question?
That's why I was smirking during his answer, to be honest.
I saw a Gooding's eyebrow move in a northerly direction.
He's speaking on behalf of the retailer, trying to explain, the difficulties that faced by them. But
I sort of got this image in my head of like people who look like some of the extras in The Wolf of Wall Street working for the oil companies when it comes to when prices go up and prices go down. Like it's real Moneyball stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, and I suspect it's largely automated.
Yeah,
it'd be a formula that goes into it, how much is coming out, the rate at which it's coming in, the international price. There you go, and the price of competitors within a certain sort of geographic range.
See, the Advertiser's got a story up online. Plan to remove the mall's balls from Rundle Mall due to safety issues. Before the famed sculpture turns 50 next year, the Adelaide City Council plans to remove the South Aussie favourite to make Rundle Mall safer. Jane Lomax-Smith is quoted in the article saying that the odd broken arm or leg from those scaling the balls might have been okay in the 70s and 80s, but the advice now is that we simply cannot keep the balls in their current form in 2026 unless we are to install scaffolding to ensure safe scaling. And it says the council is going to vote on Wednesday on whether to remove the iconic balls. Now, that's a story that you have to check the date of the paper,
Yes,
don't you?
that is one that you very much have to check the date of the paper.
What's funny, though, is that there are people who've jumped online going berserk about it. I think the nanny state lefties making these decisions should be removed first. Barry says this has to be an April Fool's joke. If not, then someone is truly a fool. I like this comment, though. Nick, this has to be an April Fool's joke. It's simply too stupid a proposition, even for the Adelaide City Council.
Yes, there's a few of those getting about. If you spot it, text them into us, 040808 1395. On the other side of this break, not an April Fool's joke. Houses in Adelaide are now, we knew this day was coming, officially more expensive than they are in Melbourne. We'll be getting into that story next.
The roads are wet out there due to passing showers, so drive carefully and to the conditions. There is a collision in Gawler East at Colton Road near Deaconman Drive to look out for, and an earlier one in Eastwood causing some issues at Greenhill Road near Fullerton Road. It's finally here. The highly anticipated The Super Mario Galaxy movie hits cinemas today. Join Mario and friends for a brand new adventure these Easter holidays. Book your tickets now. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Graham Goodings.
Jetty Road traders are bracing for yet another hit this Easter. Adelaide's entire tram network is shut down for 5 days. No trams will be running to Glenelg. Another bitter blow, unfortunately, for Jetty Road traders. Ian Matheson is the owner of Marloo Galleries and Jetty Road.
Oh, look, we've been pushed to the brink over the past year.
Graham Goodings.
We only found out about this 2 days ago.
Weekday mornings from 9 on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Now's the time to try Arbor Vitae. Get 30% off online for 1 week only. Arbor Vitae sales are rare, so don't miss out. Head to arborvitae.com.au or call 1300 879 863.
Get ready, AFL fans. The Pepsi Collective is back and bigger than ever. Catch Cyril, Havana Brown, Sergeant Slick, Andrew Loadsman, and more at Adelaide Oval's premium match day experience. Across all 4 epic days of Gather Round, the Pepsi Collective boasts incredible music, entertainment, and footy. Tickets are selling fast. Head to gatherround.afl. The AFL Gather Round, a festival of footy, April 9 to 12.
Coles Click and Collect means you spend less time shopping and more time with family this Easter, because we'll collect all your groceries and bring them to your boot. Shop Coles Click and Collect online or in the app. Min spend $50, excludes rapid click and collect, direct to boot available in select stores only, T's and C's apply.
Imagine waking up to a to-do list that includes ACE.
Don't you dare. Fancy a dance?
Downsize and upgrade your lifestyle at a Living Choice retirement resort and swap chores for choices. Gotcha. A choice of locations to live, passions to pursue, and ways to feel young again. For a limited time, enjoy a $10,000 lifestyle package. Conditions apply.
To happy days.
Visit livingchoice.com.au.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
20 after 7, houses in Adelaide are now more expensive than houses in Melbourne. That's according to the REA Group's April Home Price Index that's just been released. Now, you might say, hang on, didn't we do this last year? Our average dwelling price increased more than, it was higher than Melbourne at a point last year. And the subtle difference is there. This time we're talking about houses. All dwellings is a little bit distorted in Victoria because they have so many apartments. And I remember we did an interview
so this
at the time.
is all properties?
This is houses. No, this is
houses.
This is why this is significant today. Last year when we did it, we said, oh, well, a house is still worth more in Melbourne. It's just that they have so many units that a dwelling is now more expensive in Adelaide. Well, now, as of this moment, the median price of a house in Adelaide, $1.016 million. Melbourne, $1.015. So it's a $1,000 difference. But
think about like Brighton and Toorak and South Yarra and Kew, like all of those. There's so many of those really flash suburbs in Melbourne. I just find it amazing that when you pile all of those houses together and all of our houses together, we're in front.
Interestingly, I thought, well, how does that contrast against average weekly earnings in South Australia versus Victoria these days as well? So the last report the ABS put out, August 2025, last year, the highest median weekly earnings in Australia were the ACT, $1,600 a week. The NT, funnily enough, $1,510 a week. The lowest, Tassie and South Australia, both $1,300 a week. Victoria, though, not miles ahead, $1,380 a week, the average earnings in Victoria. So it's an $80 a week difference. But our prices, our home prices are now officially, the median is more expensive. Peter Kalizos is our favourite property expert to speak to on these sorts of matters, property lecturer at Adelaide Uni. Peter, good morning to you. Sorry, Peter, I think we've got you there now.
Good morning, gentlemen.
So, Peter, is this cause for celebration or alarm given the lack of housing stock in South Australia?
Yeah, it depends on which side of the fence you're on, but certainly for those people that own property or are paying it off would be quite happy because it's worth a lot more than what they paid for it. But for those people trying to get into the market, it has been very difficult. But the good news for them, maybe they're not so good news for those people that own property, is that the Adelaide property boom is over. We've had it terrific for 5 3/4 years. It started in June 2020, but I think the increase in petrol was the straw that broke the camel's back. A big piece of straw, but we've still managed to beat Melbourne's house price in that period of time because they have done particularly poorly since COVID started.
So when you say the boom is over, Peter, are you saying you can't see much wiggle room for significant future growth?
There won't be double-digit growth this year like there has been basically in the past 5 years. Property prices will still go up, but not at the same rate as they have for the last 5 years. The increase in interest rates was starting to hurt, but now the increase in oil, which is going to increase inflation, is really dampening consumer confidence, which nationwide was at a historic low, they reported early this week, is going to put a dampener, not just on the property market, but on the economy in general.
Yeah, Westpac now forecasting 3 rate rises before the end of the year. Pete, I want to ask you about Canada's real estate market, property market, which has seen in some places some staggering drops since their COVID-related highs, 20 to 30% in some areas. Could something like that happen in Australia, do you think?
No, the Australian psyche, we are obsessed with owning our own home, and we will make lots of sacrifices to either keep our home or to buy our home. And so the Canadian psyche is not as obsessed as we are. So, and what gives me confidence in saying that is if I look back in history, especially for Adelaide or South Australia, when the property market has dropped, it has dropped single digits. 3%, 4%. And look, and it might do that next year. I'm not saying that it will, it might do that. What people need to remember, over the last 10 years, it's increased by more than 100%. So, for example, if it went up 105% in 10 years and it drops 5% in 1 year, you're still way ahead.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a numbers guy. Will's the numbers guy here. But I was writing a piece about and looking at the rise of One Nation support amid a housing crunch here in Adelaide, cost of living, affordability pressures and so on. When Stephen Marshall became Premier, which feels like it was only yesterday, the average house price in Adelaide was $475,000.
Wow.
8 years ago. 8 years ago.
Sorry, you keep going.
No, I was just going to say, and now it's double.
Well, one of the reasons that the market is doing so well is because of Stephen Marshall and the way that he coped with COVID, and then came along Peter Malinauskas, and we continued to cope well with COVID. This takes me back to the 1990s, where in South Australia and Victoria, we both were in recession for the same reason. Our major financial institutes died. So we had the State Bank of South Australia went broke. In Victoria, it had the Pyramid Building Society. But in Victoria, they had Jeff Kennett, which virtually built them out of recession. Now we have Peter Malinauskas, who's building us out of recession. We've just built a new hospital. We're building another new hospital. We've got the Torrens to Tollens, Darling infrastructure. So there's a huge amount of economic activity happening in South Australia, which provides for a very healthy economy, and it flows onto a very healthy property market. But we've certainly got Steve Marshall and Peter Manalauskas to thank us for keeping us well during COVID and continuing to do well after COVID.
Peter, we're heading towards a federal budget that may well contain significant taxation reform in it. Some of the things contemplated go to the capital gains tax discount that's provided for property investors, maybe some sort of a cap on negative gearing. Do you think any one of these particular options is superior when it comes to addressing the housing affordability crisis?
Yeah, look, I think and many property investors that are listening to this won't like this, but I think decreasing the discount to 33% is the right thing to do, but it's the wrong time, because we say it'll help housing affordability, but if there are less property investors in the market, where are the renters going to live? It's not like the government will come in and take their place, because the housing supply is fixed. And one of the reasons is that we have this many people building houses and this much construction material. It's not like you can snap your fingers and say, oh, well, now we'll have twice as many people building houses. It doesn't work like that. But the 50% discount was formulated back in 1999, when the previous 20 years, inflation had run at a total of 160%. From 2000 to 2019, inflation has only run at 60%. So the discount was given to take into account inflation. But inflation was far higher back then than it is today. So, yes, I can see the logic in dropping the discount, but so far as renters is concerned, is it the right thing to do now? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, fascinating stuff, Peter. Peter Kalizos, property expert and property lecturer at, I always keep going to say University of Adelaide. It's now Adelaide University.
29 minutes after 7. We're talking Desi Freeman after 5AA News, and David Kosh coming up before 8 o'clock.
SA Seafood isn't just safe, it's the best. Best when it's bought fresh from your local supermarket or fishmonger. Best shared with friends over a long lunch. And when you're at the beach, best from the fish and chip shop with a little bit of chicken salt. Buying SA Seafood is the best thing you can do for our fishing industry. It helps our state thrive, and nothing tastes better. So buy the best. Buy SA Seafood.
A message from the Government of South Australia.
When you want an iconic menswear store, you go to Trims. Trims stock all your favourite brands. Brands like Levi's, Blundstone, Rossi, Yeti, FXD, RM Williams and more. Whether you're after essential wear or workwear, it has to be Trims, a legendary store for legendary blokes. Head into Trims now, 430 King William Street in the CBD. trims.com.au.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Becoming sunny today, a top of 24 degrees. With the 7:30 news, good morning. I'm Kate Collins.
Had a collision? Get in touch with Premier Panel Services and have your car returned to its former beauty.
A Blair Athol unit has been destroyed by fire which broke out just after 9 o'clock last night. Nicole Vale from the MFS says the cause of the blaze in Florence Street will be determined this morning.
Firefighters found a second-floor unit fully involved with fire and issuing heavy smoke. Firefighters wearing breathing apparatus contained the fire in 10 minutes. The unit of origin sustained significant damage, but quick action by MFS firefighters prevented the fire from spreading to neighbouring units. All occupants had evacuated prior to MFS arrival.
Police are investigating after a child was struck by a car at Cumberland Park last night. Emergency services were called to the corner of Kiama and Winston Avenues around 7:30 after a Toyota sedan collided with a 13-year-old boy. He was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Senior Constable Matt Brown says the driver initially left the scene but later returned.
The circumstances surrounding the crash and the actions of the driver are being investigated by officers from the road policing section. So anyone who may have witnessed the crash and hasn't yet spoken to police, or anyone who might have captured it on dashcam footage or CCTV, is asked to call Crime Stoppers
Motorists will unlikely see any relief at the Bowser in time for the Easter break, even though the lower fuel excise has kicked in. Legislation has passed to halve the excise to 26 cents for a litre of petrol or diesel for the next 3 months. But the measure is expected to take up to a fortnight to flow through to all service stations. Senior Government Minister Mark Butler says drivers will still be better off.
Depends really on the turnover of the station, but probably it'll be a few days at those very high turnover stations in the cities, but as much as 1 or 2 weeks in other communities, because the excise is applied at the wholesale point rather than at the petrol bowser itself.
Plastics are about to become the next victim of the fuel crisis triggered by the war in Iran. More from Gabrielle Hodson.
Along with the price of petrol, the cost of the petroleum ingredients needed to make plastics has gone through the roof. The shortage of petrochemicals risks a shortage in everything from packaging to the electric wiring and piping used in the construction industry. Peak housing bodies have told News Corp the scramble for materials, including PVC, could lead to long-term building project delays. The Electrical Trades Union is also getting reports of protective tubing for wires being sold out in some parts of the country.
King Charles and Queen Camilla will visit the United States on the first UK-US royal tour since 2007, despite ongoing tensions over the war in Iran. Europe correspondent Mimi Becker explains.
Buckingham Palace announced the visit on the advice of His Majesty's government, confirming the tour in late April to coincide with the 250th anniversary of American independence. President Trump posted on Truth Social saying he looks forward to spending time with the King, that it will be terrific. It is expected King Charles will address Congress, while their Majesties may also visit New York. The King will then make a solo trip to Bermuda.
And with good weather forecast for Florida, NASA's historic Artemis 2 mission should launch in just under 25 hours. It'll be NASA's first chance to test the life support equipment on a crew capsule with 4 astronauts on board. Now turning to 5AA Sport. Good morning, Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Kate. There is sure to be plenty of spice as the Adelaide 36ers prepare to take on the Sydney Kings in Game 4 of their grand final series tonight. Kings assistant and part owner Andrew Bogut has been engaged in exchanges on and off the court, in particular with Sixers owner Grant Kelly, with the Sixers upset with what they believe have been body-shaming social media posts. Bogut arrived in town with the rest of the squad last night, but put on his headphones and didn't want to answer questions.
Grant Kelly has accused you of fat-shaming and cyberbullying. Have you got anything you'd like to say to him?
Yeah, speak up.
You've got a fair bit to say online, Andrew, but you don't want to talk to us now.
What's a crime, you said?
It's a bit disrespectful, don't you think, to be fat-shaming a middle-aged man?
Can't hear.
Audio there, thanks to Channel 9. Let's go to football, and Port Adelaide is set to be without defender Asavo Radaglia for an extended period as he heads in for knee surgery. The Power will also be without fellow defender Todd Marshall for another week. Meantime, North Melbourne captain Nick Larkey says they'll be preparing for a full-strength Carlton on Good Friday, despite the Blues' second-half woes.
We're just going to analyse Carlton for the form that they've been in at their best. We want to prepare for the best that they're going to bring. They're a proud club. Their backs have been against the wall, so have ours. So you prepare each week for the club's best.
The Socceroos have recorded a 5-1 win in their friendly against Curaçao overnight, and it's now into extra time in the World Cup qualifier between Bosnia and Herzegovina and Italy. Scores still locked at 1-1. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thanks, Rennie. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Slow going through Gawler East, a crash at Colton Road near Deaconman Drive. Another one in Eastwood at Greenhill Road near Fullerton Road causing some delays. And through Athelston, a burst water main at Gorge Road near Main Ridge Track has speeds at 40, affecting both directions. 300,000 Australian homeless, 7.8 million Australians, 1 meal a day. Feed the hungry, House Australians. newdeal.au, authorised by Clive Palmer for the United Australian Party, Gold Coast. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now to the 5AA forecast. Showers this morning, becoming sunny today, a top of 24 degrees. Mostly sunny tomorrow, also 24. 24 again on Friday and partly cloudy. 26 on Saturday and up to 29 degrees for your Easter Sunday. Right now it's 18 degrees on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
You can rent a little, you can rent
From Cairns to Canberra, Perth to Port Macquarie, you can rely on Red Spot to provide the perfect ride for your next holiday. We're the only Aussie family-owned and operated car rental company in airport terminals and cities all over Australia, with a new fleet and 100% local Aussie service. And right now, Red Spot is giving you spot-on savings of 15% off every vehicle at every location. Book direct and save at redspot.com.au/radio. T's and C's apply.
So are you watching the footy this Easter with a house full of friends? Well, why not pick up the phone today and give the magnificent folks at Chanella's a call to order some equally magnificent platters to make it perfect. And that's no understatement. Chanella's have provided hot food and platters here at FIVEAA for some of our events. Certainly using them for our family events as well. And we are always blown away by the choice and rich, full flavours that they are so incredibly famous for. So why not drop into Prospect Road and grab delicious homemade pre-prepared meals, ready to heat and eat hot treats like arancini balls, pasta, chicken combo platters, hot seafood platters, sweet platters. They've got it all. And look, you know the food is the best. Chanella's have been supplying the Crows for over 25 years. So jump onto the website or order in-store today. Chanella's best and fresh. It's a way of life.
On Booking.com, it's easy to book your holiday home. So if you're bored of this...
Guys, found an apartment. The price just jumped up.
With us, there's no hidden fees. Booking.com, booking.yeah.
That's the bell. Here comes the catch of the day from SA King Prawns Edinburgh North. When Tony, Heather and their crew aren't at sea, they're selling their delicious catch in the SA King Prawn store at Edinburgh North. They're starting to haul in their new season king prawns for your Easter feast. Cooked and frozen at sea on board their trawler Maria L. New season Spencer Gulf King Prawns in store from today. 15 Hewitson Road, Edinburgh North. Buy direct from the prawn fishermen. SA King Prawns, Edinburgh North.
FIVEAA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to wait. David Kosh coming up before 8 o'clock. Gave some good tips last night on 7 News, Koshy, about how to weather the what might be a protracted economic and financial crisis based on the war in the Middle East. Should we ask him about the crisis that might be befalling the Port Adelaide Football Club at the moment too, as well?
I don't know if we go there yet, do we?
Too early?
I don't know.
We'll get a sense from him how he's feeling about the whole.
I've got to say, like the fact that he fronts up week in, week out, and he did it all through the debate last year, early in the season, about how that was Ken sort of a lame duck coach and all that. I sometimes feel that Koshy suffers due to
his availability,
an abundance of access.
Yes.
And that's always been a difference between Port Adelaide and the Adelaide Crows. So I don't know if we do go there.
The funny thing about both supporters, I wonder if they both trade the philosophies for one another, I think.
Well,
the Crows fans hate the sort of corporate banking style mentality of Adelaide Football Club, or you'll be spoken to when we've got something to say. And I think Port fans sometimes feel like, can we just shut up for 5 minutes?
Well, let's throw it over to, people like Joe from Evanston and Dave from Alberton. Do Port fans want us to ask David Kosh a question about how the club is going, or should we just keep our mouths shut and talk to him about, economic matters and fuel prices and housing?
Happy to be led by our listeners.
Yeah, we'll be led by you, Port people.
All right. It's 20 to 8. The biggest story in crime this week comes to us from Victoria. Now, Sean Fuster, Chief Court Reporter at the Tiser, who usually joins us on a Wednesday, is on leave at the moment, so we're not going to bother Sean. We'll catch up with him in a few weeks. But a familiar voice on 5AA is our next guest, Dr. Xanthi Weston, criminologist at Central Queensland University, on the extraordinary story of Desi Freeman, and some more details have come out about his final moments, his last stand. We still know precious little about how he was able to evade police for 7 months and spent some of that time, at the very least, in a shipping container on a piece of land in northern Victoria. Dr. Weston, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So 7 months, despite his purported skills as a bushman, Dr. Weston, you'd have to think that he was being helped by other people.
Well, certainly that was one of the major options, wasn't it? Either that he had suicided and died in the bush back in August, probably not long after those shootings last year, or if he was still alive out there somewhere hiding, then somebody was going to have been helping him. That was the only real two options that were left.
You've seen a lot of crime scenes in your time. What did you make of the footage that emerged of the shipping container and the setup around it? Because we were talking yesterday to one of the reporters in Victoria. The two chairs, like it looked like there was more than one person hanging around there, did it not?
Well, it's really difficult to say, isn't it? Because we don't know what that area is used for before. We don't know how long he's been there. We don't know whether he could have been there very short term and been moving around. He is or was a recognised member of the sovereign citizen movement. And so you don't know whether he's potentially moved from different safe houses, in essence. And that's simply where they tracked him to. So was that an area that he's been using with another person, or is that the setup that was previously there? I mean, I think these are the things that will come out as the investigators really turn their eyes to potentially who may have assisted him, because remember, they face up to 20 years in prison for helping a fugitive. So, these are very serious charges and consequences people face if they're found to have assisted him. But on face value, it looks like more than one person has used that site at some point. Whether that was Desi Freeman or not, yet to be seen.
Dr. Wester, what's your assessment of the differences in the behaviour exhibited by a criminal like a Desi Freeman, one of these sovereign citizens that have fundamental difference with the system, and other forms of criminality? And in addition to that, the preparedness for our law enforcement to deal with these specific subsets of criminal?
Yeah, well, certainly the law enforcement, including the AFC, are all across these kind of these movements, these ideologically driven movements. Obviously, sovereign citizens, it kind of came out of the US, and in essence, they hold the belief that they are morally above, the law. The laws of the country don't stand. They're natural citizens. They don't believe in police, courts, tax systems, and they'll often say that they are subject to what they call common law. And these are the individuals you see being pulled over by the police, and they're saying, "I'm not, you have no authority over me." And they sometimes have documentation with them. This is quite common in the US. We see this. So they're very strong in their beliefs that they're kind of above the law. They're quite generally open about them and their plans. They often are prepping as well for the end of the world, as it were. So they're usually quite good bushmen. They may have caches of food and other preparations for, when the end of the world comes. And so, it's very difficult for the police to actually manage these groups because they're quite disparate. They have been pushed underground a little bit more recently with using encrypted communication, for example. That's just really because they're being deplatformed by social media. So the police are certainly across them. Generally, they're non-violent. It's usually a trigger event, communication with the police, attempted arrest by the police for unassociated crimes that can push them over the edge. And because they live in often rural, regional areas, more of them have weapons than the general population.
But isn't that the scary thing, though, Dr. Weston, because they're generally non-violent until they're spectacularly violent. And there's that, we've seen it in Queen. I mean, I reckon you can trace this right back to, what year was it? Was it 95? The Oklahoma City bombing, Timothy McVeigh. Like this sort of sense that the government is our enemy, and whenever there is any face-to-face contact with anyone who, in their mind, represents the state power, they'll just go, all right, this is the final moment for me.
Yep, absolutely. So they as I said, generally non-violent, except they go from 0 to 100 quite quickly. And you're right, I think this does go back to, those really anti-government, anti-authority belief that the government is kind of pushing things on you. So they're often connected with like the anti-vax movement too. And I'm not making commentary on whether people are anti-vax or not, but those kind of beliefs that the government are kind of trying to poison you, control you, conspiracy theorists, kind of that far right. So all of these ideologies all do play in together, but it's really when there is a trigger event, like an attempted arrest. And we saw that, in this incident with the trains up in Queensland. You referred to that incident a few years ago where, again, 2 police officers were sadly shot and killed. They weren't formally sovereign citizens, but they did ascribe to some of these kind of right-wing ideological. They had been groomed by an American to kind of some of these quite out there beliefs. They were definitely conspiracy theorists. So there's definitely connections between these groups. across the world now, and it's a rising issue, and certainly something the police are concerned about when we're seeing it escalate to such significant violence.
Yeah, it's disturbing stuff, that's for sure. Dr. Xanthi Weston, criminologist at Central Queensland University, thanks for joining us.
14 minutes to 8. David Koch coming up in a moment. You mentioned before 7:30, David, a little curious headline. It is April 1st regarding the Mall's balls and the ties of this morning. Potentially they need to be having scaffold putting them around them because of the potential to cause injury. So we asked our listeners to keep an eye out. We got sent this one. This is good. The Big Rocking Horse has made an announcement. Big announcement, they say on social media. We have around 3 acres of unused land behind the animal park and have finally got all the approval to build it. Meticulous planning and negotiating over the past 12 months to design the Big Rocking Horse theme park. There'll be a venture for all ages, and the best thing will be a rocking horse that actually rocks. A custom-built rocking horse ride for all those that have complained the original 1981 built structure doesn't rock. Move over, Luna Park. That's excellent.
Who needs Universal Studios when you can go to Loberthal instead?
Go on a giant rocking horse. That's excellent. You spotted any others out there, folks? Send them through to us. We're enjoying reading them. 0480081395 or call us on 8223
A lot of Crows supporters texting in saying they want us to ask Koshy about Port's start to the season.
It's premature to be taking glee because it's, 3 rounds in?
Well, and both Adelaide and Port Adelaide have won one game.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Nah, I don't think we do it.
We might maybe just ask him,
We'll ask him one.
How's it all going?
It's like a live planning meeting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Lots to talk to him about.
What about we're almost 2 hours into the show. We haven't had an argument about Good Friday yet. We're going to be talking about it after 8 o'clock, though.
You've stacked the deck. How'd this happen?
I've called in some papal assistance on this one.
The Archbishop's coming on.
What do you call the Archbishop?
I wonder what the Archbishop's position's going to be.
I think
stay tuned for that revelation.
That's right. In a stunning move, the Archbishop of Adelaide has complained about the besmirching of Good Friday. Well, he's got every right to talk about it as anybody else.
Totally. Exactly.
He's got a
right.
dog in the fight, so to speak.
He does.
His line of work.
We'll find out after 8 o'clock. All right, let's check traffic.
The wet conditions out there are causing a few dramas on the roads with a couple of collisions to watch out for. One in Davern Park at Whittington Road near Peachy Road and another in Croydon Park on the north-south motorway near the Torrens Road exit. Slowing too through Torrensville, a burst water main at South Road near West Theberton Road. Harris Scarf Friends exclusive mega sale is on now. Save 50% off full price sheets and pillows. See conditions online. Harris Scarf, great brands, great prices. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
At Coles, get fresh offers for Easter, like Coles Australian carrots 1 kilo bags and Australian loose lemons for just $1 each. Get fresh specials this Easter at Coles. Offer ends Tuesday.
At Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, they've been raising the bar on servicing. It starts with next day servicing, free loan car, free vacuum and wash, and you can enjoy a free breakfast or lunch thanks to Villies. Your car will be in expert hands with a state-of-the-art service centre and factory-trained technicians who know your vehicle inside and out. At Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, we look after you and your car. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
If you've been thinking about downsizing, but the idea of leaving your neighbourhood is the biggest sticking point, Metro Homes, one of Adelaide's leading builders, has a really smart solution. Instead of selling up and moving away, you can subdivide your block and build 2 homes.
It means you get to move into a fresh, brand new home designed to suit your lifestyle now, and right next door, an investment property, or you can sell the other home.
That's rental income. It could be placed for family or long-term financial security, and you're living in the same street with the same neighbours. You can even have the same coffee shop that you've been going to for years.
You'll enjoy more financial freedom plus a home that fits the way you live today. Downsizing? Find out more by contacting Metro Homes or 8100 0999 or visit their website metrohomessa.com.au.
Frank, this is a safe space. What's on your mind?
Oh, this new girl at work, she's too good. She just, does things. She noticed a leaky tap in the loo and fixed it. That was my thing. I was the guy that noticed stuff.
And how does that make you feel?
Empty, lost. She's the opposite of everyone I've ever hired.
If you're not used to great employees, you need Indeed.
Get a $200 credit from Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/200. Indeed. Get what you need. T's and C's apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
8 to 8, Grant and Christie's Beach is called in on 8223 0000. Morning to you, Grant.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Yeah, we've got a nice truckload of chooks that actually is broken down just before Harndorf on the Mount Parker Expressway or freeway on the way in. Traffic's already banked back probably halfway to Mount Parker.
Oh, no, it wasn't a prang or anything, though, Grant. It was just a breakdown.
No, it's just the truck's broken down.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'll keep an eye out for that one.
Thank you, too, to all of our listeners that have done a wonderful job reporting on petrol prices this morning on April Fuels Day with the excise coming off, despite what the spokesperson we spoke to from the fuel retailers said about a potential delay in the excise being passed on. It has been. Guys currently working in Whyalla, says Martin from Anglevale. Fuel this morning, $2.29, diesel $2.99. That's exactly, that mirrors the price change in metropolitan Adelaide. So thank you for that, Martin. We appreciate the intel.
And thanks to Andrew, too, for correcting me. As I said it, I thought, hang on a minute, that's not right. Andrew says, I reckon you'll find the big rocking horses in Gumaraka, not Loberthal.
And they could never tear us apart.
David Kosh on 5AA Breakfast.
Port Adelaide Football Club Chairman, Compare the Market Economic Director. What's tougher in 2026, Koshy? Giving financial advice or running the Port Adelaide Football Club?
Well, there's no Middle East crisis in the Port Adelaide Football Football Club, that's for sure. And look, pretty early in the season for people to get too worked up about things, but I know that. Notice a few commentators getting worked up, but we're just bedding down the new coaching group and new systems. So it takes a little while. So you've just got to be patient in this game.
One of your fans texted in, Koshy, because Will and I were trying to sort of crowdsource our questions for you by asking the listeners whether we should even ask you about the start to the season. But one of your loyal fans pointed out that Port Adelaide are currently above the Crows on the ladder, so maybe we should pull our heads in.
But everything just changes and so quickly, and you've got to balance everything up. I noticed one commentator sort of had a go at us because we weren't in the draft at the end of last year, and anyone who knows about football knows that. The next 2 years, we've got all of these father, sons and academy kids coming through our system, and it's basically you got to prepare for that, and you got to save up, pick some points, and all that dark art of recruitment. So, that was all in preparation for 2 bumpy years of father, sons and academy players coming through in the next 2 years.
Yes, so exciting Cochranes and Salapex in the future. That's sort of an investment strategy for Port.
Zemi's pilot, a whole bunch of young players coming through, and you've got to prepare for that.
So you get the Port Adelaide investment strategy. We're wondering about our listeners' strategies for wealth management at the moment, or maintenance might be a better way of phrasing it. Because you were on 7 last night. I thought, as it was happening, Koshy, I was watching, I thought we should ask you for our listeners this morning to reiterate some of what you said, because you addressed everything from people who are sort of withdrawing super out of concern for what's happening in the marketplace to changing buying habits and doing all sorts of things. But you gave some really good tips about addressing the cost of living at the moment.
Number one, your super. Lots of people panic and go, I'm going to either take my super out or switch to the cash investment option that we have in our superannuation. Over the last 7 years, if you were spooked by COVID, remember the big share market plunges during COVID. If you were to switch to cash on your average My Super fund, your return over the last 7 years would have been 50% difference between just staying in your super fund and letting your fund managers work it through compared with going into cash. The difference, 50% return on your super. Now, that could destroy your retirement. So, number one, with your superannuation fund, of course, always get good advice from the advisors in your super fund on your mix of investment options. But, hey, hold the course because it's a long-term investment and this will just seem a blip in the future. The other things to do is your big bills. Now is the time to plug your financial leaks in your household budget. Do you really need all those subscription services? Do you, of your half a dozen that average Australians have, are there ones that you're going, oh, we haven't watched that for about 2 months, 3 months, and get out of it. 1st of April is the increase of the of private health insurance premiums. Go through to make sure you've got the best deal in private health insurance. Are you paying for extras that you're not using at the moment? Start to prune them.
Have you ever been to a yoga class? No.
Exactly.
Will I ever go? No.
It makes a massive difference. And a lot of people go, oh, it's too hard with private health insurance, or if I change, I'll have to reset the waiting period. Well, no. If you switch providers, as long as it's at the same level of cover or below that you're on, so you switch from Silver Plus to Silver Plus, you don't need to reset the waiting periods. So it's pretty easy to change. And then there's the simple things like car insurance, just doing it or an audit on your big bills. In my personal finance show I do on 7, I have a thing called Koshy's Budget Challenge where we go into a family and we go through all their big bills. One family, we save them $9,000 a year. $9,000. They had a terrible mortgage. They had a terrible car insurance policy. Just by spending a little bit of time comparing what's going out in the market can save you big time.
I like that. It's like your version, Koshy, of a more polite Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares.
Yeah.
You just don't swear as much, and it's flat finance. It's a good idea.
Exactly.
Hey,
So,
Koshy, do you like Good Friday football? Will and I had a big fight yesterday. I reckon Good Friday should be sacrosanct and nothing should happen on Good Friday. What do you think of it?
Look, I don't mind it, mainly because I was involved in the Good Friday appeal for many years through 7.
Yeah, that's true.
And it tying into the Good Friday appeal for the Children's Hospital in Melbourne.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good one-out thing to do. Is important.
The Herald Sun go massive on that in Melbourne, don't they? It was one of the hugest things of the year.
It's a great thing, and frankly, something that South Australia could look at as well. Sort of really getting behind their children's hospitals and doing big fundraising. They have, of course, telethon in Perth is massive. Good Friday appeal in Melbourne is huge as well. It's a nice community thing to do, and if footy can help that and be part of the community, I think that's quite a good thing.
Yeah, no, good point. All right, we'll catch up soon. Have a good Easter. David Koch, Port Adelaide Chairman and Compare the Market Economic Director. And don't miss the Archbishop coming after 8 o'clock where he will reveal what he thinks of Good Friday.
Oh, boy. Anyone's guess, isn't it?
If fresh fish and seafood is a feature of your Easter feasts, make sure you check out the Fish Factory. The Fish Factory process their fish direct from the fishing boats. You can't get fresher fish unless you eat it on the boat. There's SA West Coast oysters and king prawns, freshly whole or filleted fish and SA crayfish. Get it live or freshly cooked. Find it all at the Fish Factory. Open all Easter week, including Good Friday. Only closed Sunday and Monday.
Adelaide's news leader for 50 years. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Becoming sunny today, a top of 24. With the 8 o'clock news, good morning, I'm Kate Collins.
Need a crash repairer you can trust? Premier Panel Services delivers expert care to you and your vehicle.
Police are investigating a robbery at Elizabeth Park last night. Senior Constable Matt Brown says 3 people attacked a man outside a shopping centre on Yorktown Road, stealing his wallet.
One of the suspects was armed with a metal pole. The victim was taken to hospital for treatment of minor injuries. anyone who may have witnessed the incident or saw suspicious activity around the Elizabeth Park area last night is asked to call Crime Stoppers.
A factory fire at Edinburgh kept the Metro Fire Service busy last night. They were called to Essington Drive factory just after 9 p.m, finding an industrial rolling machine used for steel beams and sheets alight. Nicole Vale from the MFS says fortunately crews were able to contain the blaze quickly.
Firefighters wearing breathing apparatus used high-pressure hose lines and contained the fire in 10 minutes, preventing it from spreading beyond the machine. Quick work by firefighters successfully protected the structure from becoming engulfed in flames, potentially saving millions of dollars in property and equipment. Unfortunately, the machine involved is believed to be a complete loss.
One Nation believes the federal government should make sure all service stations drop their fuel price from today. The fuel excise has been halved to 26 cents for the next 3 months, but the reduction could take up to a fortnight to flow across the country, with the regions likely to be last to get the benefit. One Nation MP Barnaby Joyce says this shouldn't be the case.
The problem you're going to have is your board price, which people expect to go down, will not go down. But if you remove it from the fuel that's already been purchased and in storage, then you'd have to have a board price reduction today. This is how you'll also get around the confusion where people say, well, your price is not going down, because people go, oh, I'm still using the stored stuff. We're not onto the board stuff yet.
President Donald Trump has lashed out at his allies, telling them to get your own oil from the Strait of Hormuz. The crucial shipping lane has been closed for nearly a month due to the ongoing conflict with Iran, which is driving up fuel and oil prices around the globe. The White House again expressing frustration for the lack of support in the war against Iran. But former US Ambassador Arthur Sinodinos says it would be a dangerous situation to get involved in.
We, and indeed America for many years, have been trying to pivot out of the Middle East, and in order to be able to better balance the rise of China in the Indo-Pacific. And that should continue, I think, to be Australia's main focus.
New data reveals more than 500,000 Australians are using weight loss drugs despite no national safeguards or education programs. Treatments such as Ozempic work to slow digestion, but health experts warn they should not be used by themselves. AusActive Chief Executive Ken Griffin says overlooking diet and exercise plans can mean patients lose muscle rather than fat.
You can end up with a nutrition deficiency. So you could end up weaker and frailer and with weaker bones. If we don't support people to avoid those, then we just risk their health in the long term.
The Adelaide Cabaret Festival is only 2 months away and the program is out today with tickets also on sale. Artistic Director Ruben Kay says performers include M. Russiano, Lime Cordial with the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra and Casey Donovan.
It's a really rich and varied program here. That's going to be a fantastic month of June. We're all so excited about it.
The festival will run from June 4 to 21. The Australian share market set to surge at the open after a record-breaking day on Wall Street. The Dow piled on more than 1,000 points, nearly 2.5%. It came amid growing optimism the war in Iran could be nearing an end. Now turning to 5AA Sport. Good morning, Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Kate. Port Adelaide's players will train this morning as they prepare for Saturday's clash against Richmond at the MCG. The Power will be without Asava Ratugolea due to a knee injury, while Todd Marshall will miss at least another week due to an ankle injury. The Power are struggling with a 1-2 record to start the season, but Chairman David Koch has just told David and Will on the Brecky Show there's no need to panic just yet.
Pretty early in the season for people to get too worked up about things, but I noticed a few commentators getting worked up, but we're just bedding down the new coaching group and new systems, so it takes a little while.
And the Crows are set to be without Rory Laird for at least another week after he hurt his calf at training last night. Let's get to basketball. The Adelaide 36ers will put their season on the line tonight when they host the Sydney Kings in Game 4 of their grand final series. The Sixers must win to force a deciding Game 5, while the Kings can wrap up the title with a win. The Socceroos have played their final game on home soil before the World Cup, recording a 5-1 win against Curaçao. Meantime, literally in the last few seconds, Italy has failed to make the World Cup for a third straight time, going down to Bosnia in penalties in incredibly dramatic scenes in Bosnia. Cricket Australia is slashing its contract list down to 21 players to free up more money for its star players. Meantime, South Australia's players were greeted by a big crowd at Rundle Mall late yesterday afternoon as they continue to celebrate back-to-back Shield titles. Kate, that is the 5AA Sport.
Thanks so much, Tommy. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Roads are wet out there due to the passing showers, so drive carefully and to the conditions. We've got a couple of collisions to look out for, one in Davern Park at Whittington Road near Peachy Road and another through Croydon Park at the North-South Motorway near Torrens Road exit, causing some major delays if you're heading citybound. Is your life jacket ship shape? Check which life jacket you need at marinesafety.sa.gov.au. A message from the Government of South Australia. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now to the 5AA forecast. Showers this morning, becoming sunny today, a top of 24 degrees. Mostly sunny tomorrow, also 24. 24 again on Friday and partly cloudy. 26 degrees for Saturday and up to 29 degrees on Easter Sunday. Right now it's 18 degrees on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Here's some food for thought during the AFL Gather Round Festival of Football. Rebecca Morse will be hosting a special lunch on April 10th at the incredible SAMRI headquarters on North Terrace. Across the afternoon, some of SAMRI's leading medical and health researchers will share the latest breakthroughs in health and medical science and how they could transform footy as we know it. For tickets and to find out more, visit the SAMRI website. But hurry, numbers are strictly limited.
Great things begin with the right space. A space to work, a space to store, a space to create. Right now, build the space you've always wanted with Olympic Industries sheds, garages and outdoor storage designed for Australian lifestyles. Visit one of Olympic Industries' inspiration centres today and bring your space to life. Olympic Industries, built to last.
Setting the agenda for South Australia. This is 5AA, always Adelaide. David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
8 minutes after 8. Oh dear, spare a thought for our Italian diaspora here in South Australia who have missed out on the World Cup for the third consecutive time. It will be, 16 years in the end between World Cup appearances potentially for one of the proudest footballing nations on earth.
You think about Paolo Rossi in 1982, Salvatore Schillaci, the fantastic little motor mechanic from Sicily who was at the USA World Cup, was the Golden Boot. It used to just be taken as a given that Italy, you would just assume that Italy, Germany, Argentina and England would always be in the World Cup.
There was a period in the late 90s, the early 90s, where the Serie A was considered the preeminent footballing competition on earth, and the Premier League made changes to try and re-establish its dominance. It's just unthinkable. Here it is. Here's how it happened just a short time ago.
This to win it, to send Bosnia and Herzegovina to the World Cup. Barek Tarnovic scores! Bosnia-Herzegovina will play at the World Cup. Only their second finals as an independent nation. Their first since 2014. Italy beaten. Their worst nightmares have come true.
Bosnia and Herzegovina, a country of 3.5 million people.
Used to be part of the Yugoslavia, didn't it?
That's right. Great story for them. The images of where this game was being played are something else. So the stadium looks like it's about the size of Hindmarsh Stadium. It's quite small.
So it was in Bosnia?
It was in Bosnia. At each end, it is flanked by apartment blocks. The apartment blocks at first blush look like they're on fire because the ultras filled them up and stood on the balconies with flares. And so the entire stadium is ringed by these apartment blocks that genuinely look like they're on fire. And they're an Italian red card after going up 1-0.
If we've got any Bosnian listeners, give us a ring on 8223 8855. What's the Bosnian sort of go-to for celebrating?
Well, flares by the looks of things.
Flares and chivapchichis.
All right, it's 10 after 8. We're going to have Breaking It 8 in just a moment. But first, let's spin the wheel because we've got a Care Alert Smart Watch to give away this morning, the emergency watch. You can use your home care package or NDIS funding and get a Care Alert for free. Australia's #1 personal alert system. Visit carealert.com.au The number that's been spun up this morning is 24. It's again for one of our younger eligible listeners. This 24 correlates with 1949, which means you are turning 77 this year, or you already have turned 77. If 1949 is your birth year, get calling right now on 8223 0000, and the first person who gets through will get rewarded with the Care Alert smart watch. George Orwell published 1984 in 1949.
Wow.
1984.
Yeah.
Referenced with regularity in 2026.
Yeah, very much so.
All right, let's go breaking it out.
Well, this Saturday marks 2 weeks since the state election, but we still don't have a final result after it was confirmed yesterday by the Electoral Commission that there's going to have to be a recount in the York Peninsula-based seat of Narungga. This is where Fraser Ellis, the former Liberal MP independent, was defeated, and it turned into a head-to-head contest between One Nation and the Liberal Party, and they are only separated by a cigarette paper. One Nation's Chantel Thomas is leading by just 77 votes. After preferences were distributed, she was on 12,078 votes, and the Liberals' Tanya Stock was on 12,001 votes. Now, we haven't had it confirmed, but we believe it obviously is the Liberal Party that has said to the Electoral Commissioner, look, we think it's too close and we want to have a recount. Unclear how long it is going to take for that recount to be processed, but to discuss the implications of all this, we're joined by Clem McIntyre, who's the Emeritus Professor of Politics at Adelaide University. Clem, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
This could kick on for a while, could it not?
Oh, it shouldn't take too long. Sort of 24,000 votes or so. The Electoral Commission's already done a full count and effectively divided all those votes into the two piles of the two most preferred candidates. And as you say, One Nation candidate is ahead by some 77 votes at the moment. But to do a recount, you go back to scratch effectively. But the thing with the recount is that the major political parties, certainly One Nation and the Liberal Party, will have scrutineers standing there looking at every single ballot paper. There's a chance in the first count that a few votes end up in the wrong pile. That doesn't often happen, but it can happen by just sort of omission and people overlooking the destination of the ballot paper. But when the scrutineers are standing there at a recount, every single paper will be looked at, and the task of the scrutineers will be to try and make a case, on the one hand, that vote shouldn't count because the voter's intention isn't clear, the numbers aren't written in a way that is definitely legible. If the vote seems to be going against your party, on the other hand, if the vote looks like it's going towards your party, then you want to argue it in as much as you can. And the Electoral Commission will make the final determination. So the slowness can be the process of watching over it and ensuring that every single vote is eligible to be entered into the count and is allocated to the right pile.
Clem, what does history tell us with regard to trying to make up a 77-vote differential on a recount?
Yeah, pretty hard, I think. I haven't got definitive figures with me, but it's not unusual to have 10, 12, 15 votes either argued in or out, or found to be in the wrong pile in a recount, which is why when there's a difference of several hundred, parties tend not to bother. But with 77, it only needs 40-odd votes to be turned from one pile to the other to make a difference. It's possible, but I think it's probably unlikely, but it's possible that the recount will show a different result.
So, Clem, if the One Nation candidate wins, my reading of it is that she will win thanks in no small part to preferences from the Liberal Party, who are now the ones who are upset at the result and want the recount. That's correct, isn't it?
No, not in the seat of Narungga. The One Nation will be winning the seat on the basis of Liberal preferences.
Of course, because the Lib hasn't been eliminated.
No, the Liberals and One Nation are the final two candidates in this one. So,
but in the seats where
when all of the other parties have been eliminated from the count,
Of course.
Their preference get allocated, and I've ended up in these two piles at the end.
But is it right, though, to say that in the seats where One Nation has succeeded, that they have, well, at least in 2 seats from my reading, they've done it because of the decision of the Liberals to give them preferences?
It looks like that to me too.
So do you think that's going to force a bit of a rethink about the tactics that the Liberals used?
You'd think so. I'm still scratching my head trying to work out why the Liberal Party decided to do that. Ashton Hearn was speaking publicly before the election saying that we'd rather another centre-right party be in the party than more Labor. Well, 2 things to say, I suppose. One is I'm not sure One Nation would describe itself as centre-right. I think it's not so much centre but more right. And secondly, this is a party that is overtly trying to replace the Liberal Party in our political system. And the Liberals, by giving them preferences and facilitating the election of a couple of members, have really given them oxygen and space in the parliament that they might not otherwise have had. So whether it's better to have 2 more One Nation candidates sitting behind you, as it were, on the opposition benches, or to be facing just another 2 Labor members in the big crowd of Labor members that were being elected is debatable. But I'm struggling to understand why the Liberals took that decision. It will be interesting to see what happens in FIVEAA when that by-election comes up, and particularly the Victorian election later this year.
Yeah, well, given they almost usurped the Liberals, but one more seat, and we'd be having an argument now about who should be the proper opposition.
Exactly.
And it would probably be One Nation because of their primary vote.
Well, that would be certainly an argument. It's not a definitive argument, but that would be a consideration certainly, and a pretty powerful argument, I think, too.
Yeah. Hey, Clem, while we're talking about counting oddities, the seat of Finnis, Lou Nicholson, has won despite coming 4th on first preferences. Have you?
Yes.
Can you recall anything similar to that happening in South Australian politics in your time?
No. As soon as I saw that result, I was scratching my head, talking to colleagues saying, can anyone remember someone coming from 4th to win it? And no, of course, while we've had politics in South Australia so dominated by 2 parties, for years and years and years, the LCL followed by the Liberal Party as it sort of changed its name and structures a bit in the late 60s on the one side and Labor on the other, then, those parties used to win 70-80% or more of the primary vote. So there was never any prospect of somebody further down the count picking up enough preferences to win the seat. To win from 4th, you really need 4 candidates to be almost equal on about just over 20, and then to pick up the preferences of the very minor parties that are eliminated before that. And I've gone to Lou Nicholson, who stayed just in front of Labor at that point. So it is very unusual. It reflects the fact that our politics is no longer, or certainly at that last election, no longer dominated by 2 parties, but there's a multiple group of parties and strong independents that can now win seats.
Yeah, as Peter Malinowski said when we spoke to him the day after the election, there's no such thing as a safe seat anymore. Great analysis, as always, Clem. Professor Clem McIntyre from the Adelaide University.
Speaking of the Premier, I think his seat was the first time that the Greens have finished in the top two candidate preferred in South Australian history, despite all the consideration about Hyson and the Hills being a potential Green pickup. It's actually not. Now, Peter Mallis is that far ahead in Croydon, it doesn't matter. It's entirely academic, but they actually finished in second spot in his seat. First time they've done that anywhere. 20 minutes after 8, we're going to check traffic and come back very, very shortly talking about Good Friday. Congratulations to Margaret from Balaclava. Margaret, you've got the Keralert Smart Watch coming your way. Peace of mind for you and the family. Congratulations to you.
Big thanks to Keralert.
First caller through.
The roads are wet out there due to passing showers, so drive carefully. And to the conditions, to Davern Park, we've got a smash at Whittington Road near Peachy Road, and in Athelston, a burst water main at Gorge Road near Main Ridge Track. Speeds are at 40 in both directions. Around Torrensville, another burst water main at South Road near West Theberton Road. At Amart, get 20 to 60% off everything store-wide. Plus, get 10% off your purchase back in an Amart gift card on spends of $9.99 or more. Hop into Amart. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on FIVEAA.
Imagine waking up to a to-do list that includes ACE.
Don't you dare. Fancy a dance?
Downsize and upgrade your lifestyle at a Living Choice retirement resort and swap chores for choices. Gotcha. A choice of locations to live, passions to pursue, and ways to feel young again. For a limited time, enjoy a $10,000 lifestyle package. Conditions apply.
To happy days.
Visit livingchoice.com.au.
Great things begin with the right space. A space to work, a space to store, a space to create. Right now, build the space you've always wanted with Olympic Industries sheds, garages and outdoor storage designed for Australian lifestyles. Visit one of Olympic Industries' inspiration centres today and bring your space to life. Olympic Industries, built to last.
When you want an iconic menswear store, you go to Trim's. Trim stock all your favourite brands. Brands like Levi's, Blundstone, Rossi, Yeti, FXD, RM Williams and more. Whether you're after essential wear or workwear, it has to be Trim's, a legendary store for legendary blokes. Head into Trim's now, 430 King William Street in the CBD. trims.com.au.
That's the bell. Here comes the catch of the day from SA King Prawns Edinburgh North. When Tony, Heather and their crew aren't at sea, they're selling their delicious catch in the SA King Prawn store at Edinburgh North. They're starting to haul in their new season king prawns for your Easter feast. Cooked and frozen at sea on board their trawler Maria L. New season Spencer Gulf King Prawns in store from today. 15 Hewitson Road, Edinburgh North. Buy direct from the prawn fishermen. SA King Prawns, Edinburgh North.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 after 8. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be broadcasting live from the Central Markets ahead of the Easter long weekend, and we're going to be celebrating the best in local SA seafood while we're there. This is going to be fun because Ned McHenry's going to be with us at the markets.
Oh, really?
And he's going to be giving us his top seafood tips and specials from around the market. He's going to walk around
Ned.
chatting with some of the traders and talking about where the fish is caught and how to prepare it and eat it over the weekend. Yeah, unfortunately. Ned's
suits me. I can just sit there at the desk.
Well, Ned's our go-to seafood guy.
Eating fine food and drinking coffee.
All thanks to Brand SA. Support local and buy the best by SA Seafood. Well, you've brought in the big guns for our
I have, Will.
annual Good Friday debate.
As you said earlier, I've stacked the deck. I'm not sure if the Archbishop of Adelaide, Patrick O'Rean, is a 5AA guy or not, but if he's not, he missed out on the most spirited theological Barney on Adelaide radio yesterday, where Will and I went head-to-head about the appropriateness of playing football games on Good Friday. Your Grace, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on 5AA.
Thank you very much.
Is Good Friday, does it feel to you like the battle has been lost over the widely held view among Christians that there should at least be one day of the year, Good Friday, the most sacred day on the Christian calendar, where we are all compelled to engage in a little bit of thought and contemplation?
I think it's important to look at the context a little bit because, for example, I've lived in France for a couple of years, and Good Friday is just an ordinary day there, and then people sort of have religious observances in the afternoon. If you go to Italy, for example, it's not a public holiday there either, but they do have an extraordinary procession around the Colosseum. And I think for us, it's not just Good Friday. We call it Holy Week. So it actually starts tomorrow on Thursday and goes right through to Sunday. So it's a period where we are invited into a deeper place. And I guess given the sort of parlous state of our world, it's a place where we actually go and reflect a little bit on what's important. And I guess my experience is that sometimes we run away from that, but things like Good Friday and Easter give us the opportunity to actually come to a different place, ask the questions about what kind of our society we want, and what does it actually cost us if we sort of are not distracted, but just focus on one thing rather than two things. And I think that's what the European experience is. we can do both and. We can focus on what's important, but also fill that out in other ways.
So, at the risk of helping my friend Will win the argument, are you saying... He's sitting here giggling while I'm asking this question.
No giggles.
Are you saying, Your Grace, that it is possible to enjoy a football match as well as engage in some sort of contemplative, thoughtful process, provided you're actually willing to make that part of your day too?
Well, I think my preference would be to sort of keep the whole day free, but I know that's not everyone's preference. But I think we still need to have in our lives some depth, some stillness, and, we talk about death on Good Friday, so it's a bit of an encounter with our mortality and meaning, but we don't stay there. We actually go to a deeper place, and that's where our hope is. But I think we can do both in one way if that's what people want to do, but I think if we just do one, then there's something missing and we've lost something. So I'm just inviting people into to consider maybe what's lost when no day is held sacred, and what might be found if one day we're allowed to ask what's more deeper in our lives rather than simply entertainment or a thing, which is a good thing because it actually sort of does lift up our hearts. But let's remember the reason why.
Because I sort of come at it from a secular perspective and think back to the 1970s where everything was shut. When I was a kid growing up, and I'd go to church in the Methodist tradition, went to Sunday school for a while there. Not that I've sort of stayed on the true path as an adult, but it just feels to me now...
There's always time.
That's right, don't give up. But it feels to me like there's just this sort of constant need for stimulation. We need to have the shops open all the time now, and that the act of contemplating anything seems to have been sort of crowded out by so much other stuff.
I think, well, that's my experience too, but speaking personally, I actually need that sort of grounding, that time away, because it actually deepens then whatever else you do. It becomes a richer experience rather than more, wider, it becomes a deeper experience.
Do you think there's this desire these days, Your Grace, to frame some of these discussions as though, if not mutually exclusive, at very least secularism amounts to a sort of encroachment on one's capacity to engage in their religion as they might like? Is it your observation that allowing people to follow whatever faith they follow or live the life as they do at some point in time actually inhibits others' ability to engage in their faith the way they would like to?
I don't experience that myself because actually faith is all about a relationship, and it's a bit like falling in love. If you have that experience, then that's a connection, and you feel a real bridge to life rather than sort of feeling a gap. And I don't know that means that someone else is impacted by that, but they're actually empowered by that because it calls them to a deeper place in whichever way they are drawn.
Well, we really do appreciate you coming on, Your Grace. It's been an interesting conversation, and it's not something that actually ever gets really discussed on something as sort of, earthy as talkback radio. But we found it very interesting yesterday when Will and I were going hammer and tongs at it, because we had literally dozens and dozens of texts about this issue, and they're good things to think about. So you have a good Easter, and
thank you.
We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, and I wish everyone a very blessed and happy Easter, and may we all find that little space because I think our world needs it at the moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well said.
Good on you.
The Archbishop Patrick O'Rean, our guest on 5AA Breakfast.
Are you claiming that as a win?
No, because my perspective on this is not one of sort of passionate debate.
Let's keep being juvenile about
this. It's more bewilderment. I don't understand how, personally, worrying about what everyone else is doing affects what you want to do on a certain day. That doesn't.
No, it's a fair point.
That's what I don't. That's the crux of my thesis on this. Is
do as ye please. Sort of libertarian theology.
That's me.
Yeah.
Libertarian theology. Sort of. Does that work? I guess it sort of does.
Something like
It
that.
sort of does.
Now's the time to try Arbor Vitae. Get 30% off online for 1 week only. Arbor Vitae sales are rare, so don't miss out. Head to arborvitae.com.au or call 1300 879 863.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Morning showers clearing to a sunny day, a top of 24 for Adelaide. With the 8:30 news, good morning, I'm Kate Collins.
Had a collision? Get in touch with Premier Panel Services and have your car returned to its former beauty.
A 13-year-old boy is in hospital after he was hit by a car at Cumberland Park last night. It happened at the intersection of Kiama and Winston Avenues. It's alleged the driver, believed to be a taxi driver, left the scene following the crash, but later returned and spoke to police. Daniel Smith lives nearby and says it's not the first bad accident in the area.
Seen a car flip because it was going too fast and end up on its roof about 50 metres up the street. I actually rescued a lady. I was first on scene about 2 years ago. She crashed through the roundabout here and ended up just on the pavement. We've seen a car about the same time end up in the fence. And probably the biggest thing is there's so many families around here.
A factory fire at Edinburgh kept the Metro Fire Service busy last night. They were called to Essington Drive just after 9 p.m, finding an industrial rolling machine used for steel beams and sheets alight. Nicole Vale from the MFS says fortunately crews were able to contain the blaze quickly.
Firefighters wearing breathing apparatus used high-pressure hose lines and contained the fire in 10 minutes, preventing it from spreading beyond the machine. Quick work by firefighters successfully protected the structure from becoming engulfed in flames, potentially saving millions of dollars in property and equipment. Unfortunately, the machine involved is believed to be a complete loss.
A Goolwa house has been destroyed by fire overnight. The blaze broke out at 3:30 this morning. Casey Miller from the CFS says the blaze had spread through the house when crews arrived.
Thankfully, occupants had been able to self-evacuate and crews prevented the fire from spreading to neighbouring properties and a nearby shed. Due to the significant damage to the house, it is a complete loss with damages estimated around $600,000.
Many motorists are unlikely to see a reduction in the fuel price in time for the Easter break. Federal politics reporter Michael Packey.
Legislation has passed to halve the fuel excise to 26 cents on a litre of petrol or diesel in a bid to help drivers cope with high prices. The saving officially starts from today, but there's a catch. It only applies to new stock, not fuel that's already been purchased by a service station. Senior Government Minister Mark Butler admits it could take up to a fortnight for the lower price to be reflected across the country.
Depends really on the turnover of the station.
One Nation MP Barnaby Joyce says the savings should have already kicked in, regardless of existing or new stock.
If you remove it from the fuel that's already been purchased and in storage, then you'd have to have a board price reduction today.
The road user charge for truck drivers will also be paused for the next 3 months.
US President Donald Trump is again lashing his allies, saying those struggling with fuel supply need to build up courage and fight for themselves. The ongoing conflict with Iran and its closure of the Strait of Hormuz continue to send up petrol prices around the world. CNN chief international correspondent Clarissa Ward says as far as most leaders are concerned, this is a war of choice.
Not of their choice. They weren't consulted. They weren't part of the planning. And now they're being asked to effectively deal with reopening the Strait of Hormuz if they want to get this fuel crisis under control.
And NASA is preparing to launch Artemis 2, its first astronaut mission to the moon since 1972. The mega rocket will take 4 officers on a historic 10-day test trip around the moon. NASA weather officer Mark Burgess says there's an 80% chance of blast-off tomorrow.
Tomorrow looks to be the best. Other days hit and miss, but still pretty good. There's nothing here that is screaming a no-go.
Now turning to 5AA Sport. Good morning, Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Kate. We'll start with football. Adelaide is hopeful they'll regain Jordan Dawson and Taylor Walker. That's for Friday night's clash at home against Fremantle. Ruckman Riley O'Brien's also a chance to come in for his first game of the season to help quell the influence of Luke Jackson and Sean Darcy. Well, the Adelaide 36ers will take on the Sydney Kings tonight in Game 4 of their Grand Final series. looking to bounce back after going down in Game 3 by 13 points. The Socceroos will leave our shores on a positive note. In the final home game before the FIFA World Cup, Australia has smashed Curaçao 5-1 in Melbourne. It was all locked up at 1-1 before a flurry of 4 goals in 16 minutes, including 2 from super sub Nestor Irankunda.
And he plays at such intensity. Nestor Irankunda is off again, and he's in behind them, and he's scored again. Well, he's unstoppable.
Yeah, that call from Paramount. Meantime, disaster for Italy, failing to qualify for a 3rd straight World Cup after going down in a penalty shootout against Bosnia and Herzegovina. The winning penalty sending the home fans into delirium.
Barek Tanovic scores! Bosnia Herzegovina will play at the World Cup. Only their 2nd finals as an independent nation. Italy beaten. Their worst nightmares have come true.
Oh, it's amazing. And Aussie Cooper Connolly has played a match-winning innings in his IPL debut. He smashed an unbeaten 72 from 44 balls as the Punjab Kings defeated the Gujarat Titans by 3 wickets. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thanks, Tommy. Now checking 5AA traffic.
The roads are wet out there due to the passing showers, so drive carefully and to the conditions. If you're heading through Davern Park, an earlier collision at Whittington Road near Peachy Road to watch out for. And in Athelston, we've got a burst water main at Gorge Road near Main Ridge Track. Speeds are at 40, affecting both directions around that one. It's finally here, the highly anticipated The Super Mario Galaxy movie. It's cinemas today. Join Mario and friends for a brand new adventure these Easter holidays. Book your tickets now. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now to the 5AA forecast. Showers this morning, becoming sunny today, a top of 24 degrees for Adelaide. Mostly sunny tomorrow, also 24 the top. 24 again on Friday, partly cloudy. 26 degrees for Saturday and up to 29 degrees on Easter Sunday. Right now it's 17 degrees on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Adelaide's local, trusted and truly connected talkback radio station. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
SA Seafood isn't just safe, it's the best. Best when it's bought fresh from your local supermarket or fishmonger. Best shared with friends over a long lunch. And when you're at the beach, best from the fish and chip shop with a little bit of chicken salt. Buying SA Seafood is the best thing you can do for our fishing industry. It helps our state thrive, and nothing tastes better. So buy the best. Buy SA Seafood.
A message from the Government of South Australia.
G'day, it's Eddie May here from NRG Solar. If you're a business thinking about advertising on radio, I think the first step is to actually contact one of the crew at 5AA and just have a look at what the demographic is, how it would work for your business, what sort of ads might work for you, and then you can make an informed choice as to whether this is the path for you to take or not. In our particular space, there is more and more solar companies on radio, and I think it's important that you stay in the mix. So for us, it's part of our strategy. It's not our entire strategy. It's one of 5 different sources, but, you know, if you don't have them all in there, then you're just not part of it.
To get your message out there and grow your business, visit 5AA.com.au and hit the Advertise With Us link.
Now, it's not an Easter feast without a trip to the Adelaide Central Market. We're making ours in the morning. Come in and say g'day. They're open in the lead up to Easter with all your favourites. Find your inspiration and ingredients with more than 70 stalls under the one roof.
You'll find a huge range of fresh produce and house-made Easter goodies, including hot cross buns, the freshest SA seafood, chocolates and sweet treats. In fact, you just find exactly what you need.
And it's easy to shop at the Adelaide Central Market with extended trading on Thursday from 7am till 7pm.
And that includes a kids' Easter trail plus free face painting and live music. Then on Easter Saturday, the free activities return to keep the little ones entertained, and you can shop 7am to 3pm.
For full Easter trading hours, visit adelaidecentralmarket.com.au.
The Roller Door Doctor, this is Nurse Tracy.
I seem to have a little issue down south.
That's okay. We do all areas.
You do? Well, I can't seem to get it up anymore.
No problem. At the Roller Door Doctor, we do all types and brands of garage doors. So we can help you get it up again.
The Roller Door Doctor, helping SA get it up for over 30 years. Contact the Roller Door Doctor for garage door repairs, service and installation. therollerdoordoctor.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
20 minutes to 9. If you're watching along on the Facebook or YouTube live stream, you'll see we are joined in the studio as we are every couple of weeks here on a Wednesday morning by the Treasurer of South Australia, Tom Kurtzin-Tanis. Treasurer, good morning to you.
How are you, David? Welcome back, Treasurer, both to the studio and to government. Big win for the Labor Party. We were saying in Breaking at 8, still unclear what's going to happen in Naranga, but other than that, it's a thumping majority.
I've never seen anything like it.
How do you, because you are the chief tactician and frankly head kicker at times for the government. How do you approach question time now? Like, how is that going to work? Are you going to given it's probably going to be 5 Liberal, 4 One Nation, and then 4 Independents, will they share questions?
They'll have to.
Who decides that?
Well, it's very hard for us, because we're the government, to tell the opposition how many questions they get, because the opposition should be unfettered in its ability to scrutinise the government. However, they are the largest group, but still a minority, of the non-Labor MPs. So if you look at it, there's 13 crossbenchers, 5 of which are Liberal. So that means the Liberal Party are not the majority of the opposition. So the question then becomes, well, how many questions do they get? I mean, you would obviously defer to the leader of the opposition, whoever that is, and make sure they get the first couple of questions. But One Nation got more votes. The Liberal Party came 4th in 17 seats in South Australia. I mean, Cory Bernardi in One Nation would have the moral authority to say, well, hang on a second, we're clearly number 2. We deserve to ask more questions. Our system of government does not allow for there to be 2 oppositions. But we're facing this dilemma now where the largest second party is not the Liberal Party. They might have the seats, but they don't have the votes. And so who's the opposition? Well, we'll go on the numbers. Okay, they're the largest non-Labor group, so they're the opposition. But what do the other 4 independents think about that? I mean, I think One Nation came second in the majority of the seats of the independents as well. So this is going to be very, very difficult for us, and we can't choose because it would be inappropriate for us to choose. We can't decide who the opposition is because we're the government. I mean, the opposition should be self-selecting, and the public choose the opposition, not us. So it's going to be very, very hard for us. We've got to tread very carefully here as not to dampen the ability to be scrutinised in our system.
There seems to be a disagreement amongst state governments about how to carve up the GST windfall that's come about as a rise of the dramatic increase in petrol prices. What's your view and the view of the South Australian government and how that should be managed?
Well, Cabinet will be considering all of this. Obviously, there are cost of living pressures. Obviously, there's sovereign capability. South Australia is the largest onshore producer of oil in the country. I have argued for a long time that petrochemicals still play an integral part of our economy, and perhaps we can put some of that money towards finding more of them.
How would that work? Like state-sponsored exploration or just providing...
We do that now. We have our PACE grants where we help people go out and find gas. South Australia has wet gas where we fracture stimulate and get gas and oil. There could be an opportunity for us to even potentially refine one day again. And we have the base products. But the question is, are you prepared to pay the extra for the refined oil in Australia as opposed to importing it? Now, traditionally, importing it is cheaper. Right now, it's more expensive because of what's going on in the Straits of Hormuz. But if all things being equal, Australian processed petrol is more expensive than imported petrol. And the question is, are we prepared to pay for that sovereign capability?
Right, so that industry would need to be subsidised by the taxpayer.
Or by the consumer.
Right.
So that would mean, it's like all things, right? If you want sovereign capability, are you prepared to pay more?
To that end, there's another lever that's quite gaining popularity now as people consider how we might enshrine our sovereign energy capacity in Australia. One is, short term, how you spend that GST windfall, or whether it gets distributed as a cost of living relief, or as you're talking about, potentially invested in a way of maybe funding exploration and so forth. The other is the gas component of the question, when now bombing of Qatari gas facilities and so forth have led to the gas price going up as well. So there's a windfall that private entities in Australia and Santos here in South Australia are receiving as a result of that. So some people have said maybe a short-term tax on that windfall.
I think the tax system is able to take the advantage of windfall gains. The question for us is our gas exports now are being used geopolitically to make sure we maintain our fuel supplies.
As a trading chip.
Absolutely. I mean, people who want Australian gas, we better get fuel as well. So, for all those people who've been bemoaning Australia's gas exports, they are tactically now very, very important. As is our food commodities, as is our other trade aspects as well. So, we've got to pull every lever we have right now.
Treasurer, the quote overnight from Donald Trump, "Go get your own oil." "Drill, baby, drill" was another Trump quote from after his second term victory. Should we think about taking that even more literally and maybe revisiting the prospect of looking for oil in the Bight?
There is oil in the Bight. I have no doubt about that. I think, there has been oil in the Bight. Whether it's still there or not is the question, but there's certainly gas in the Bight.
Is it worth having a look?
Well, we did. We supported the exploration. The companies pulled out.
There was a social licence component of that, though, wasn't there? They knew they were going to have a big fight on their hands, and they went, "Is it worth fighting it?"
Yeah, I think so. But they also, I think, hid behind that on the basis of cost. Now, the question is, has that cost curve changed? Right, and that's a matter for the Commonwealth governments in their waters. But I have no problem with mining in the Bight because, it's an asset we have. We have it in Bass Strait. We have it off the Northwest Shelf. Why wouldn't we mine? We can mine safely. But the question is whether it's economic. I don't think it probably is economic. It's very deep water. And
but is the lesson from what's happening in the world right now that Australia should maybe demolish some of the sacred cows and I'd throw in nuclear power? I mean, I know that there's an economic argument against it, but should we be... Do you think we should be looking at whether that's an option?
I am agnostic to all energy sources, right? I want the most cost-effective. If it's nuclear, great. Yeah, if it's gas, fantastic. If it's renewables, fine. I don't have an ideological opposition to any of them. But my view is that we should choose the cheapest possible form of energy, and that means today is renewables. Now, renewables backed up by gas is the way to go. I think we should be exploring for more gas. I always have said that. I've been consistent on that. Our opponents have blocked exploration of gas in parts of South Australia, in our second largest basin. There are gas fields in the north of our country. There are gas fields on the east coast that could be explored, like Narrabri could be unlocked. We should be doing all of that and being self-sufficient. Why wouldn't we be?
I want to ask you about one of the other pressures that comes about as a result of the war in Iran, inflation. And I got thinking about this listening to someone talking about sort of inflation-proof investments yesterday when they were talking about private infrastructure. Don't laugh at me, Treasurer. They were talking about private infrastructure developments because in infrastructure contracts there are inflation escalators.
Yeah, rise and fall, yes.
So I was thinking about that in the context of South Australia. And you've told us in the past that our budget position looks worse than it might otherwise be because of massive infrastructure investment at the moment, South Road, the Women's and Children's Hospital and so forth. Does that then therefore mean we are acutely exposed to inflation of 4 or 5% plus that's being forecast here in SA, the taxpayer, because built into those contracts is an increase in prices?
Look, there is rise and fall in our contracts, and we are exposed to increased prices, especially in bitumen or petrochemicals, concrete, steel, everything in a north-south corridor. And so if you've got a $15 billion project and you have a 2% blowout, that's considerable. So yes, we are exposed. Now, is it inflationary? Well, you would argue on the face of it, yes, it is. But at the same time, you've got destructive demand going on as well, right? So people are spending less. There are not the queues that I thought there would be at petrol stations. You are seeing people spending less to try and conserve. So as opposed to interest rates, which push up people's costs on mortgages, this here takes a lot of discretionary spending away from other things and moves it towards fuel, which is inflationary, but it also dampens demand across the economy. So I'll be fascinated to see what happens. And I think that's why we had a split vote with the Reserve Bank. I mean, what was it about the Reserve Bank board that said, just over one vote wanted to increase rates, while the rest of the board probably assumed there'd be a bit of destructive demand here going on with the petrol prices having the same effect as increasing interest rates. Perhaps it won't be as inflationary, but on the face of it, yes, it's inflationary. But let's wait and see.
Tom Kirchentonis, Treasurer, thanks for coming in. We'll catch up again soon.
Thank you.
All right, let's check traffic.
The wet conditions causing some dramas out there, so be careful when cruising around. If you're heading to Salisbury, a crash on Commercial Road near the museum, and through Bridgewater, we have a breakdown on the freeway downtrack near the Verdun ramp, slowing things down for city-bound travellers. To Athelston, a burst water main at Gorge Road near Main Bridge track. Speeds are at 40, affecting both directions through there. Zero immigration, pensions up by 30%, abolish student debt, double the health budget. Newdeal.au. Newdeal.au. Authorised by Clive Palmer for the United Australia Party, Gold Coast, Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hi, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, we, the Lynn Andrews team, have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easier for investors and tenants. Everyone is treated with empathy and respect. It's the way we do business. It's the Lynn Andrews way. For residential and commercial property management, we're here to help you. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
At Coles, get fresh offers for Easter, like Coles Australian carrots 1 kilo bags and Australian loose lemons for just $1 each. Get fresh specials this Easter at Coles. Offer ends Tuesday.
Great things begin with the right space. A space to work, a space to store, a space to create. Right now, build the space you've always wanted with Olympic Industries sheds, garages and outdoor storage designed for Australian lifestyles. Visit one of Olympic Industries' inspiration centres today and bring your space to life. Olympic Industries. Built to last.
We gave away one of these fantastic Care Alert emergency watches a little bit earlier, and we have no trouble doing so because they're a wonderful product developed here in South Australia, and they change people's lives, certainly for older Australians. If you've got a parent, grandparent or loved one who lives alone, this is exactly the kind of technology that gives families real peace of mind.
Will and I had a front row seat for the development of this watch. The Steels came in and walked us through how it works. It's absolutely fantastic. It's so simple. We saw it being demonstrated and it works brilliantly. Now, the watch also has built-in GPS, so if somebody becomes disoriented or lost, their location can be quickly identified. And look, there's not all these extra bells and whistles with the watch. It's a beautifully simple emergency watch that helps keep people safe 24 hours a day, wherever they are. So if you'd like to find out more or see if you are eligible to get one free through state or federal funding, contact Care Alert today at carealert.com.au or call 1300 75 85 95. The Care Alert Emergency Watch. Simple, smart and designed to help keep Australians safe.
5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
There you go.
6 minutes to 9. March might have ended, but the madness isn't over, as we know. The festival state. The wonderful things keep on keeping on, and the Cabaret Festival will be the next big one upon us in June of this year, and the 2026 program has been revealed. The artistic director of the Cabaret Festival, the wonderful Reuben Kay, joins us in the 5AA Breakfast studio. Reuben, good morning to you.
What the hell are you doing making me get up this early? I'm a cabaret performer. I went to bed at 5 a.m. once the rugby team left, and now you've dragged me in here.
This is suffering for your art.
This is uninvoiced labour.
It is.
This is the late part of our show.
Yeah,
we consider this
We're almost off to bed.
Yeah, we'll always go to the pub after this. We've been up for so long.
Okay, enough about the invitations, but what we're doing after. Bed, pub, let's not flirt online.
So, Reuben, walk us through the program, because I've got to say, so many of our listeners love the Cabaret Festival, and as Will said, the idea that everything comes to an end in Mad March, for you, it's just sort of warming up, isn't it?
I know, no rest for the wicked, and I am incredibly wicked and don't believe in rest. I love the Cabaret Festival, and more importantly, I think Adelaide loves the Cabaret Festival. Every year, people throng into the festival centre, escape the cold, come into the warmth. The whole festival gets transformed into this sort of subterranean den where you can come in, see a show, and still be there at 1 a.m., drinking some Corrigan-Burge, drinking some wine and singing show tunes in the foyer. It was my first year as artistic director, and I wanted to take this festival and make it a bit sexier, make it a bit more urgent, and I've delivered so many great big names that we know and love, and a couple of sneaky little new ones that people get to discover from all over the country, from the US, from the UK. So first off, I've got the entire cast of Jesus Christ Superstar, who never came to Adelaide, coming over, performing the hits of the show in the Festival Theatre, but also telling us all of the gossip, side stage, backstage, what it's like being on tour, how many times I got in trouble with the company manager. Apparently, you're not allowed to hide a fart machine underneath the apostles during the crucifixion. Right. Next, we've got real big names here. We've got people like Emma Schiano. We've got Casey Donovan doing her Amy Winehouse tribute. Alfie Boe, West End star from the UK, is coming over, along with Amy Manford from Phantom of the Opera. So for people who are fans of music, fans of musical theatre, this is a great festival for you.
As your debut as the artistic director, did you take a guiding sort of philosophy in terms of what kind of program you wanted to put together, or is this just a collection of cool stuff that you've seen?
So the festival's theme this year is Delicious Revolution.
Right.
Because I wanted something that said, what is my vibe of cabaret? What do I bring to this? And there's something about cabaret being the art form that pushes back. It's always there in times of social upheaval. It was there in the 1930s in Germany. It was there 300 years ago in the Hogarth wealth disparity years of British music hall. And the delicious part, think about the seductiveness, the licentiousness, but also Adelaide's really rich history of food and wine. We've revamped the festival centre. There's a new restaurant there called Angry Penguin, based on the art movement, and the food is to die for. I can't swear on this radio station at this time frame, but know that I want to. And alongside all of that, we've also got a huge amount of free stuff in this festival because, as we know, the cost of living means it might actually be cheaper to die. So the whole festival centre is being transformed into an exhibition called Rags to Riches, where you get to come and see props and costumes from cabaret performers from around the world, including Rhonda Birchmore, Reg Livermore, some real international greats of Australia, as well as performers from London, performers from America are donating their costumes and props. We've got free talks happening, and then we've also got the Trevor Jones in the Quartet Bar, who's singing show tunes on the piano.
That's excellent.
Every night at the festival.
All my fondest memories from way back in the day are things like when Barry Kosky had the festival, and then there was Red Square afterwards, and I can remember there was a supper club years ago down at the festival centre, and the hanging around afterwards was as much a part of it as seeing the show.
It's the community of it.
Yeah, that's right.
You can go with your mates, or look, if you don't have any mates, and I can understand that because people are awful, you can come on your own. Grab a drink, and trust me, by the end, you will leave with someone.
Yeah,
possibly
absolutely.
Me.
It's going to be an exciting lineup, Reuben, and we thank you for coming in. And congratulations on your first Adelaide Cabaret Festival. We're hoping that there's many more.
Thank you so much. It is exhausting being this talented.
Reuben Kay, on debut as the artistic director of the Adelaide Cabaret Festival. Hey, that's just about all from us this morning. Make sure you're listening to Afternoons with Stacey Lee. She's got the Police Commissioner in for an hour of power at 3 p.m. today, answering all your questions and providing an update on how the petrol crisis is impacting police. So stay tuned. Stacey Savo.